Welcome to Sunday Night with Old Time Radio. Here we are, 18 August 2024. We open tonight with something very special, and I sometimes wish that we had used this for our opening theme song. It's Sarah Vaughan. Ms. Vaughan is followed by The Man Who Saw Everything. Incredible but true story. We return to Frankenstein, episodes 10 and 11. We then have Down Our Way. Patience's house is broken into. Next, the Club Car Special. This is new to us. Then Dr. Morell, another new series. And we close with Russia House, the first part. And we include the whole of the first part. If you listened in last week, you heard the first 4 minutes of part 1. We'll continue with Russia House over the next 5 weeks.
Who listens to radio? That go where you go medium called radio. That's with you every night through the long commuter fight, and in the morning with your toast and mama-lady-o. Who listens to radio? No matter if it's summer, winter, spring, or fall. Who listens to radio? Only 150 million. 150 million people. That's all.
At a time when he had already achieved recognition as one of America's most eminent inventors and physicists, Thomas A. Edison conducted a series of experiments in thought transference. He constructed an elaborate electric apparatus and sought, by means of it, to bring about purely mental communication. But, as he himself freely admitted, he obtained not the slightest results. And yet, Thomas Edison believed in extrasensory perception, for long before this he had met a man called Reese, the man who saw everything. Ken?
It was a friend of Thomas Edison's, a young woman named Miss Olson, who first interested him in the man named Reese. A few days later, Reese appeared at Edison's laboratory.
Well, let's have a demonstration.
All right, sir. Miss Olson, would you mind going into the other room and writing down on a piece of paper your mother's name, the place of her birth?
1 minute there, young man. What proof do I have that you and Miss Olson haven't made a few prior arrangements before you ever got here? No, I demand to be the subject. I'll be the one who goes out of the room.
And with that, Thomas Edison, his eyes twinkling brightly and a smile of triumph on his face, slipped out of the room and walked across the courtyard to an adjoining building.
My experiment with the alkaline electric battery. He couldn't know about that, because nobody in the world but myself does.
Chuckling to himself, he scribbled in small and almost illegible letters the question which had so long troubled him.
Is there anything better than hydroxide of nickel for an alkaline battery?
Then he folded the paper several times and held it clutched in his hand. And then at last he left the building and retraced his steps to the room where Reese and Miss Olson awaited him. He said nothing as he entered. It was Reese who spoke first.
Do you really want my opinion, Mr. Edison?
Why? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, young man.
Well, you asked me a question, didn't you? And here's the answer. No, there is nothing better than hydroxide of nickel for an alkaline battery.
Thomas Edison had no explanation for the incident. He could only accept it as valid and authentic, if incomprehensible. As he himself put it,
I do not pretend to be able to explain this faculty. I am convinced that the needs of civilization will produce some great discovery by means of men endowed with this power. The rare seers of the present generation will become the multitude of coming generations.
In these words, America's great scientist expressed his faith in a power which is still looked upon with skepticism by other scientists of lesser stature than he. A power that enables men to see without the use of their senses. A power incredible but true.
When a comedian turns his imagination loose, it's apt to go in any direction. Let's say Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks.
About 4 days ago, a plane landed bearing a man who claims to be 2,000 years old. Sir, when were you born?
Close to 2016 to this October the 16th, I'll be 2,000 years young. How we say young, you know?
Yes.
Not to curse ourselves, you know?
Could you give us the secret of your longevity?
Well, the major thing is that I never, ever touch fried food. I don't eat it, I wouldn't look at it, and I don't touch it.
Yes, but I think most people are interested in living a long and fruitful life as you have. You mentioned...
Fruit is good, too. You mentioned fruit, yeah. Fruit kept me going for 140 years once when I was on a very strict diet. Mainly nectarines. I love that fruit. It's a half a peach, half a plum, so it's a hell of a fruit. I love it. Not too cold, not too hot, you know, just nice.
What has been
Even a rotten one is good. I love them so much. That's how much I love them. I'd rather eat a rotten nectarine than a fine plum. What do you think of that?
I can understand that.
Yes, that's how much I love them.
Yes, I can understand that.
Yes, yes.
Sir?
Some good things.
Sir, what did you do for a living?
Well, many years ago, thousands of years ago, we would take a piece of wood, see, and rub it and clean it and look at it and hit a tree with it.
For what purpose?
Just to keep busy. There was nothing to do. There was absolutely nothing to do. We had no jobs, don't you see?
What other jobs were there? There must have been something else besides hitting a tree with a piece of stick.
Well, hitting a tree with a piece of stick was already a good job. I mean, you couldn't get that job, you know?
What job?
Mainly was sitting and looking in the sky was a big job. And another job was watching each other was one thing. That was light work, looking at each other.
By the way, sir, are you married?
I have been married several hundred times.
Several hundred times?
Yes.
I'm afraid to ask the next question. You had many hundreds of wives.
Hundreds and hundreds of wives.
How many children do you have?
I have over 42,000 children. And not one comes to visit me. In an afternoon.
Oh, that's terrible, sir.
You bet. How they forget a father. Sure. That's how they are.
That's awful, sir. It's really...
They could send a note and write how you pop, how you doing, pop, you know. Something. No, they don't.
Sir, you must have known some great men in your time. You did travel throughout the world.
I knew the great and the near great.
Sir, how about some of the legendary characters who supposedly might have existed? For instance, Robin Hood. Did he exist?
Oh, yeah. Lovely man. Ran around in the forest.
Did he really steal from the rich and give to the poor?
No, he didn't.
He didn't?
He stole from everybody and kept everything. That's what he did.
Well, how did legend... How did legend spring up that he was
He had a fella, Marty, the press agent, ran in all the papers and wrote in scrolls. He took from the rich and gave to the poor. Who knew?
I see.
Who knew? He'd give you such a knock in the head when they robbed you, you wouldn't remember anything anyway.
So in other words,
he was a tough guy.
I hate to have our legendary figures smashed like this.
Well, I hate to smash them for you.
Yes. Well, sir, we don't have too much more time, but we all here would like to know your code.
Well, all right. Is this it?
You're
My
on.
farewell?
Your farewell address.
Keep your smile on your face and eat a nectarine. It's the best fruit ever made. That Pasbon.
Throughout history, social comment usually originated from the pulpit. According to Dave Steinberg, it still does.
Tonight's sermon deals with the exciting personalities of Jezebel, Lot, Joshua, and Moses, all of whom had a wonderful rapport with God, whom I'm sure you'll all remember from last week's sermon. Jezebel lived in the time of Elisha the prophet, was immortalized in later years by Frankie Lane. And Jezebel, the Bible tells us, lusted after everything that passed by her doorstep. And God devised a punishment. He said, Jezebel, every time you lust, I shall put a fly in your ear. A bzz-bzz fly. And every time you lust, that fly will buzz around as a reminder of your carnal sins. So God gave Jezebel this anthropomorphic zap. He took the fly went from her ear into her head. And there the fly stayed, and Jezebel continued to lust. And each time that she did, the fly buzzed around. But Jezebel liked it. Lot lived in Sodom and Gomorrah, the twin cities they were called. And every form of evil imaginable took place there. And God looked down, saw that things were bad. Every time God looks down, things are bad. Maybe if he wouldn't look down so much, things would pick up. God said, Lot, leave Sodom and Gomorrah, for their evil has come up before me, and I'm going to destroy these towns in fire and brimstone. But whatever you do, Lot, don't look back. Lot is walking on the outskirts of town. Lot's wife turns to him and said, Lot. What's the matter with you? You should have stayed there. That was fun. Lot continues to walk. She says, Lot. Gotta be aggressive with God. You can't always be passive. Lot continues to walk. She says, Lot. Lot says, Dear, God told me to tell you to look back.
The psychologists have a word for it. It's called sibling rivalry. They know what it means, but I don't. Anyway, here's Dickie and Tommy Smothers. And they better know what it means because they got a whole routine about it.
Mom always liked you best. There you go. What do you
mean? My mom always liked my brother best, and she never liked me. Mom and you and Mom...
Why do you keep telling me Mom always likes you best?
Because she...
Every time you get mad, you say, Mom always liked you best.
Oh, yeah? Well, Mom always liked you best.
You want to know...
you always picked on me. You and Mom... my mom and my brother get together and say, we don't like you. Because Mom liked you best,
you know
and she
why...
never liked me.
Wait a minute. Do you know why she liked me best? Would you like to know why she liked me best?
I never knew Mom liked you best. Your Mom always used to pick on me. Now I remember.
Yeah, now you remember.
Mom liked you best and she never liked me.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because I happen to be an only child.
Mom gave you a dog. My mom gave my brother a dog, and I didn't get to have a dog in more than...
Everybody had dogs.
I didn't have a dog. You got to have a dog in more than anything in the whole world. I wanted to have a dog of my own. I asked my mom, I said, Mom, I want to have a dog like my brother Dickie Smothers. You remember me, I'm Tommy Smothers. And I never got to have a dog, and you wouldn't let me play with your dog or anything.
Hold it a minute. And before we go any further, you know you had your own pet already.
Crummy chicken.
Well, you wanted it.
It's no fun playing with a chicken. They don't bark good.
You wanted it.
I didn't want that.
You wanted to sell the eggs.
It was a rooster. And every Saturday, my brother, all of his friends, they all get up their dogs and they get their bicycles. And I didn't have a bicycle either. You had a bicycle.
Hold it down. Now, hold it down. Now, you're just getting excited. You had a wagon. That was a good wagon.
One wheel.
Well, what'd you do with the other wheels?
Well, it was hard for the chicken to pull that one-wheel wagon.
Listen.
You never liked me, and you went on hikes, and I always liked my brother. Mom says, always like your brother. I like my brother. We used to hang around and do things together. About once every 3 or 4 months, he'd say, come on, Tom, let's go smoke some Crayolas.
I certainly did not say let's smoke Crayolas. I did not. It stains your teeth.
You go on hikes.
That's right, we went on hikes because dogs and boys go on hikes. You can't take a chicken on a hike.
Frank was a good hiker.
Listen, all the guys knew Frank was the best hiking chicken in the block. The reason you couldn't go on a hike, you couldn't keep up. You in that crummy wagon. Boys and dogs, they go on hikes together, they're buddies, you know? A little boy even sleeps with his dog. You've never realized the place for a boy in his chicken coop. You should have kept that crummy chicken in that chicken coop, Tom, and away from my dog.
My chicken killed his dog.
In this business, a real pro can start with almost any situation and get a laugh. Witness what the brilliant Jack Guilford does with the reading of the will.
I, Samuel Benjamin Cohen, being of sound mind and body, do hereby declare this to be my last will and testament. Number 1, to my son, my beautiful boy Sheldon, my firstborn, who made me proud of him all my life, a fine son, a good husband, a wonderful father, and the best dentist in the United States. To my son Sheldon, I bequeath, tax-free, $1 million.
Isn't that wonderful?
Wonderful.
Isn't that magnificent?
Good luck, Sheldon. Number 2, to my beautiful daughter Jane, with a Y. To that lovely child who always got high marks and helped her mother with the dishes when we couldn't afford a maid, who got a scholarship to Hunter College, who for a long time has been a little too particular or she'd be married already. To my lovely daughter Jane, with a Y, tax-free $1 million.
Such a generous man. Isn't that beautiful?
Mazel tov. Number 3, to my beautiful wife Miriam, friend, companion, love of my life. To the lovely Miriam, I give with pleasure everything that's not in her name already. The white Chrysler Imperial with the white sidewalls. The Picasso from the back of the store. And tax-free $2 million in cash. Enjoy, sweetheart, enjoy.
Oh.
What a marvelous husband.
An angel, not a man, an angel.
The Picasso from back of the store and everything.
Number 4, to my brother-in-law Louis, who lived with us all of his life, who never had to do a day's work, who knew how to handicap the ponies better than anybody, who only smoked the finest cigars, mine. To my brother-in-law Louis, who all his life said I would never remember him in my will. Hello, Louis.
Satire entered a new phase of popularity with David Frost's original London TV show. That was the week that was.
For those of you who are still feeling a little downhearted about Britain's diminishing place in the world, let me read you a list of the colonies we've still got. Fiji, Mauritius, Swaziland, the New Hebrides Condominium, Pitcairn, Virgin Islands, Gozo, Western Samoa, the Maldive Islands, and Sweet Rockall. An ordinary house in an ordinary street.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Constable.
Now.
Okay, get up. Get up.
Just a routine inquiry, sir.
One glance at the newspapers to the Sunday pictorial for the headline of the year, "Did Mrs. Grimes see the Virgin Mary through her kitchen window?" And perhaps the quote of the year from another Sunday paper, "Speaking of a man before the court at Basildon in Essex, charged with 2 serious offences against young girls, the psychiatrist told the court, previously this man has been before us with offences that indicated a somewhat homosexual nature. These latest offences are evidence of a step in the right direction."
As long as I can remember, ethnic humor has been the backbone of comedy. And I still think it is, because it's based on love and understanding. From the land of the shamrock comes some of the finest humor in the world. Here's a sample of it from Orson Bean.
'Twas a fine time we had down at Grogan's, and the 5 of us slept not a wink, with a fiddle to stir up our brogans, and plenty of toddy to drink. Oh, the grog, it was free as the air is, and we managed to stow it away. We whistled and sung like canaries. Ha-ha! Who was the 5, did you say? Well, myself is 1, Tim Corrigan is 2, Mike Strike is 3, the 2 Grogans is 4. All right. We played 45. Mike was beaten. Corrigan caught him at cheating. They threw off their coats without waiting and went at it like dogs in the street. They stirred up our blood with their brawling, and the fight ended up in a fray. The 5 of us pushing and hauling, and who was the 5, did you say? Well, the 2 Grogans is 1. Mike Strike is 2. Tim Corrigan is 3. Myself is 4. And I damn it, I know those 5. Now, Pat Grogan pulled out his fiddle. Oh, Pat can sing like a loon. He drew his bow across the middle and gave out with a bit of a tune. Himself round the kitchen went dancing, such a jig as Pat Grogan can play. The 5 of us singing and prancing. Who was the 5? Myself is 1, the 2 Grogans is 2, Mike Strike is 3, Pat Corrigan is... Holy God, I know there was 5 now. 'Twas early daylight in the morning when the party at Grogan's broke up. The cock in the shed crew was warning, and we took one last round at the cup. But the fairest of friends must be parted, and we each of us then went his way. The 5 of us so happy-hearted. Oh, I'm so fine. Myself is 1. Pat Corrigan is 2. Mike Strike is 3. The 2 Grogans is 4. 2, 3. Oh, gee. Well, I guess there was only 4.
Live from the Apollo Theater, here's George Kirby.
Well, but then Rochester showed up. He took me out and showed me his new job. You know, he's no longer with Jack Benny. Now he's working in the control tower at the airfield, and as the planes come in, he directs them, tells them what to do before they land. Well, this particular day, I was out there, and the plane came in and said, "Pilot to tower, pilot to tower. I've only a half a cup of gas. What are my orders?"
Tower to pilot, tower to pilot. Field ain't clear, you better circle it.
The plane went around. The pilot called down the second time. Pilot to tower, all of my gas is gone. What are my orders?
Well, now, wait a minute, let me see here. Well, I guess you better repeat after me. Our Father, which art in heaven.
I had a lot of fun, though. I said, "Rochester, why don't you take me around the studio so I can see the stars while they're making the pictures?" He said, "Okay," so we started over the studio number 1. By gabs, I've been trying to talk over one of these things for a long time. You know, I'd like for you to go back a few years with me. Back to the days of radio. We tune in and try and catch one of the old Joe Louis fights when we're a little late. And all we hear is, the winner and still heavyweight champ of the world, Joe Louis. Just a moment, try and get Joe to say a few words. Joe, come over to the mic, tell me. What do you think was the punch that did it?
Oh, wow, it was left uppercut to the jaw.
Well, Joe, did he have you nervous any time in that fight?
Oh, well, around the first of 5 counts, prime a little bit, but I think all right.
Well, Joe, we have a guest star from the Amos and Andy show, Kingfish. Come on over, Kingfish.
Yeah, Joe, I've been wanting to ask you, what's your future plans there?
Oh, well, I couldn't figure on retiring. I went back into it again. Then I figured on retiring again. I went back into it again. Then I was going to stop promoting for a while, and I thought about show business. Then I put my money in a hotel out in Las Vegas. You know, that hotel closed up on me.
Yeah, I was reading all about it there. I told Saffron Mama about it, yeah. Yeah, but look here, Joe. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Just go on and see Rose Morgan. Everything will be all right. I'll see
you later. Here is the great Herschel Bernardi in a routine called The Battle for Identity.
Tonight I want to talk about Jews, especially those Jews who migrated to this country from Eastern Europe at the turn of the century. What happened when these two greatly divergent cultures collided? We changed our names. The story about the fella who was introduced to another guy, Ayid mit Azabur, you know, and he was introduced as C.D. Allen. And the other guy says, your name is C.D. Allen. Where did you get a name like C.D. Allen? He said, well, everybody around me was changing their names. I got disgusted. I was standing on the street corner. I looked up at the sign. It said Allen Street, so I changed it to Allen. He says, oh, Allen Street. Where did you get the C.D.? It's Corner Delancey. Of course, my very favorite story about that period is the story of another guy was introduced to the same guy, Ayid mit Azabur. He says, what's your name? He says, Sean Ferguson. He says, your name is Sean Ferguson? What kind of name is Sean Ferguson? He says, well, in the old country, my name was Krachmalnikov. When I came to America, this friend of mine, when I left, he said, don't be a dope. When you get to Ellis Island, don't tell them your real name, Krachmalnikov, because they won't understand you. They'll give you a crazy name to live with the rest of your life. Tell them your name is Smith. So when I came to America, I got off at Ellis Island. The man said, what's your name? I forgot what my friend told me. I said, schön vergessen.
Sometimes comedians lose their own names because their material or the character they're playing is so strong. Do you remember Van and Skank? I thought not. How about Pasta Fazool?
That's how I like to see you feel.
Well, I just have a nice big Italian meal.
You eat spaghetti?
No, you fool. I have big plate of pasta fazool.
Pasta fazool? What does that mean?
That's noodles with navy beans.
Oh, something to eat, eh? A very good dish.
You fool with me, John. You know Gabish?
Pasta fazool.
That's very good to eat. Pasta fazool. That never can be beat.
Fine sandy pasto.
That's an appetizer fine. And when you finish, some Italian wine. Pasta Azula, make a weaker man strong. Pasta Azula, make you live very long. If you got a kids 2, 3, 4, and you think you like to have a couple of more, don't be a fool. Eat pasta Azula.
When it comes to down-home humor today, you look to Moms Mabley. The great thing about America is that our younger generation has adopted moms for themselves. And all ages and all colors laugh at this great black humor.
Folks, you colored folks, my friends, don't get mad when you pass through a suburban town and see those beautiful split-level houses with the little black Iron Man standing out in the front yard. Don't get mad. Get you some money. Build you a split-level house and put a little white boy out there.
Going back to Ireland again for a moment, let's take another viewpoint on the Emerald Isle. From the land of St. Patrick, here's Jimmy Joyce.
The rabbi and the priest are very good friends. In fact, a few weeks ago, they each bought a new Oldsmobile, and they had the cars out on Route 1, and they were testing them out for speed and power. They were going along about 60 miles an hour, and all of a sudden the rabbi pulled in front of the priest. And there they were going down the highway, 60, 65, the rabbi in front, the priest in back, and all of a sudden an old lady started across the road. The rabbi slammed the brakes on, and the priest couldn't stop, and he went right into the back of the rabbi's car, and there was a terrific crash. Both cars were demolished. And the two of them staggered out of the wreckage, and the priest got very upset. And he walked up to the rabbi, and he said, when you stop a car like that, why don't you give a signal? Put your hand out, put the brake on. You didn't do a thing. You stopped short with no signal. I went right in the back of you, ruined the two cars. Look at the mess we got here. And the rabbi said, don't get excited, Father. We got insurance. You're getting flustered, you're getting red in the face, you're going to have a heart attack. I got a bottle of brandy here, better take a drink and calm down. So the priest took a drink. He said, what about the license, the registration? Let's get the papers out. We can't block the road all day. And the rabbi said, don't worry about the license. The registration I got will unblock the road, take another drink. And the priest took another belt out of the jug. He said, well, call the insurance company, get a tow truck. And the rabbi said, don't worry about the insurance company, they'll send the tow truck, take another drink. And the priest said, I just took two. When are you going to take one? The rabbi said, don't be silly. I'm waiting for the state police. Now, they came. 20 minutes later, the state police car pulled up, and a big Irish cop jumped out, and he looked at the damage, and he turned to the priest, and he said, how fast was this guy with the bottle going when he backed into you, Father?
No dialect sequence could possibly be complete without the master storyteller, Myron Cohen.
I like to tell the story about the little couple who for many, many years found it difficult to make both ends meet. And then suddenly things became a good deal brighter. He made a good living, they mixed with nicer people, and the finer, the more cultural things in life became most important. A week or so ago, they were invited out to this very beautiful home, and the subject for the evening was fine music and fine composers. They heard names such as Mendelssohn, Beethoven, Verdi, Puccini. Someone mentioned Mozart. She says, Mozart? I know him very good. In fact, this morning I saw him get on a number 5 bus to go to the beach. There's a hush in the place. They seem horror-stricken over what seems like such a ridiculous remark. However, the party being in good taste, nothing more is mentioned. Finally, the evening is over. They're on the way home, and in the confines of their own car, the husband turned to the wife, as husbands will on occasion. Somebody asked you to open up your mouth? You couldn't sit quiet like a lady? You got to open up that big fresse, everybody should know you're stupid. You know down well the number 5 bus don't go to the beach. My years in the textile industry always bring to my mind this one certain dress manufacturer with whom I did a big job. A big job. I did a job. Well, not exactly a job. I sold him some sample cuts, and I returned him the following season. But this man was no war baby. He made his money long before the war by virtue of the fact that when he produced a garment, it was 100% Adrasky. he made better stuff. Not exactly better stuff, the better type of cheap junk. And when he produced that dress, I give you my word, the skirt had a full sleeve, beautiful finished seams, longer M's, gorgeous neckline. Of course, he used a cheaper buckle. Well, how then could he produce the garment? You see, he lost money on every dress, but the volume took care of it. You know as well as I do, even if you lose money, so long you ship a lot.
No look at today's problems would be complete without the sharp satire of this next fellow.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, Hotel Aladdin is very proud to welcome back the star of the Baghdad Theater. Let's have a warm welcome for Mr. Godfrey Cambridge.
You know, there's one area of American life that is almost totally segregated, and that area is nonviolent crime. Now, in violent crime, we're doing all right. But in nonviolent crime, that's where all the white people are, because that's where the money is. And trying to crack that is tougher than trying to get into your country club. You ever hear of a Negro convicted of $500,000 in tax evasion? Hell no! Most of the time they owe us and we too stupid to file a return to collect our money. I tell you, friends, you know, and you know what's idiotic is the fact that, for example, you take a crime like counterfeiting. That's an all-white crime. Just once I would feel a sense of pride if a colored brother walked up to me and laid a counterfeit one on me with a picture of Booker T on it. To hell with George. And the only way we're going to get more Negroes into nonviolent crime, I think, is by busing. That's the only way. See, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to run a bus up from the Wall Street area of Manhattan, run it up to Harlem, and on that bus, I'm going to put some trainees. I mean, some promising guys, some intelligent, well-groomed, clear-eyed liquor store hold-up men, car thieves and cat burglars. And I'm going to run them down to the Wall Street district for a lecture series. You know, by people who can inspire them, like Florida land salesmen, Midtown parking lot operators, maybe a Teamster local treasurer. We'll even bring in Bobby Baker, maybe, for celebrity status. I mean, the possibilities are limitless, man. We can really work at this, folks. I mean, because it doesn't make sense to have a Negro in the Supreme Court if we don't commit crimes classy enough to get us up there.
Present George Edwards in Frankenstein. Baron Frankenstein was gradually recovering his health under the care of the captain and the surgeon of the ship Voyager, which was icebound in northern waters. Each day, Baron Frankenstein told Captain Walton some of his story, and the captain duly noted these facts in his journal.
Perhaps you would care to have another look through my journal, Baron Frankenstein. You may desire to make some further corrections.
If you will leave your journal here, I will go through it, Captain Walton. On looking through the porthole, I notice that the weather is improving.
Yes, it is noticeably warmer, too. I think the thaw will set in at any day. Then at last we can proceed on our journey to England. I trust you will be accompanying us, Baron.
I doubt it. Strange that neither you nor your crew have seen any sign of the monster.
Let us trust that the monster no longer lives.
I must make sure before I return
I think that very soon I will be able to go up on deck. I am feeling so much better.
The sergeant says that within a few days you may be able to go up on deck. Now, would you care to tell me some more of your story?
Well, let me see your journal. I was telling you how I returned home to my wife. I was afraid to tell her of the death of Ernst Clerval, and I was terrified that the monster would keep his promise and appear on the day that I was reunited with Elizabeth. While we were talking, we suddenly heard a ghastly laugh, and I knew that the monster had kept his promise. Elizabeth clung to me in terror, and I said, "Now, Elizabeth, you understand why I must guard you carefully. The monster has returned, and he has designs on your life."
But I thought that he had promised never to take another human life.
He did not keep his promise, nor did I keep mine.
He is outside that door, Victor. What can we do?
I will lock the door. We are safe in here.
I am terrified.
I have kept my promise, Frankenstein. You broke yours to me. It seems that my creator can make a promise and break it. But I do not break promises. Have you sincerely mourned the death of your friend Ernst Clerval?
Ernst Clerval? Is he dead?
I will explain later, Elizabeth.
I am going now, Frankenstein, but I will not be very far away. Not very far away.
Victor, what can we do?
I will arrange for a bodyguard to come to the house. We will make plans to slay that foul monster.
Tell me about Ernst Clerval.
Well, I was trying to keep the news from you. Ernst has been killed, murdered by the monster. Oh, Elizabeth, are we to spend the rest of our days in fear and terror? Am I never to cease to suffer because of the crime which I committed?
I will carry this pistol, Victor, and we will take every precaution to try and protect ourselves.
Oh, the monster will not kill me. He desires me to live on and suffer. Oh, but I am afraid for you. Tomorrow, you shall leave here. You will go to England.
Think not that the monster would follow me, or I am safer with you, Victor. We must not be parted again.
Oh, it is my fault that we are suffering all this misery.
We have each other. We must do all in our power to rid the world of this foul creature.
I will send a message to the burgomaster at once. I will ask him to send his best man here to act as a bodyguard, and together we shall plan to bring about the downfall of the monster.
You must send one of the servants with a message at once.
Oh, Elizabeth, until that monster dies, we are to spend our days in terror and abject misery. Let us pray that we shall escape with our lives.
Well, Baron Frankenstein, did the burgomaster send someone to protect you from the monster?
A man called Fabian was sent to the house. He took up his quarters there, and he acted as our bodyguard. But I assure you, Captain Walton, that my wife and I experienced misery, terror, and suspense such as is known to few mortal beings. Every footstep, every sound caused us to start. We were prisoners in our own home. Still there was no sign of the monster. There came a day when I sent for the man Fabian. I discussed with him the best plans for finding the vile creature which was endangering our existence. When Fabian came into the room, I said, be seated, Fabian. Thank you. Tell me, where is the Baroness?
She has gone to her room to rest. I saw that her door was locked, Baron Frankenstein. Do you think we need an extra bodyguard in the house?
Well, it might be advisable to have another man here. Fortunately, we are all armed. The Baroness never goes anywhere without her pistols. And you and I carry 2 pistols.
Do you think the monster is somewhere in the ground?
I have had the ground searched each day, and still there is no sign of the monster. I do not know where he can be.
Let us send a message to the burgomaster and ask him to send another man here.
We will do that at once. I feel that we will receive a visit from the monster at any time. And And if there is an extra man here, we will have more chance of overpowering and killing the creature. I will give the message to the servant now. Wait. This is strange.
What ails you, Baron Frankenstein?
Why, the door will not open.
Let me see. Why? It is locked from the outside.
Was the key on the outside of the door?
It must have been, but I did not place it there.
Well, who could have locked us in? Surely the monster is not here.
We will have to break our way out of here.
My wife, she is upstairs in her room. We must get out of here at once. That is Elizabeth. Help me to break this door open.
It is a heavy door.
Out in the rain. I will smash it with this chair.
Let me try. The door is too heavy.
Where are the servants? Why do they not come to help us? Help! Come and open the door!
A moment. I think I can break the panel with the corner of this small table. Stand clear, Baron. I must get out of here.
My wife, I heard her scream and I heard a shot. Hurry, baby.
A moment. There. I have broken a panel.
It is not big enough to go through yet. Break another panel.
I am doing the best I can. Oh, there.
Oh, let me go through.
I will follow you.
Oh. Look. There. At the foot of the stairs.
The Baroness.
Oh. Elizabeth, what has happened? Oh. Look at the marks on her throat.
The Baroness is dead.
Choked to death by the monster. He kept his promise. Oh, look. The pistol lies there by her side. She must have fired it to try to save herself. And we were too late. We were locked down in the library.
I must go for help at once.
Oh, we are helpless. No one can prevail against the brute which I created. He swore to kill my wife, and now he has kept his promise. Oh, listen.
You are distressed in the telling of this story, Baron Frankenstein. Shall I leave you alone?
I shudder now as I recall the horror of that moment. As the realization came to me that my beloved wife had been murdered, I felt as if I had murdered her myself. But I shall live to avenge her. The monster must die.
What is that?
Footsteps that I know so well. The monster is here on the ship. Are you armed, Captain?
I am not.
We meet again, Frankenstein, and I can lock this door behind me. Why have you come here? I hope that you were dead.
You vile, murdering creature. I have no sympathy for you, only hatred and loathing.
Stand where you are, Captain. I hold you firmly. You tremble.
Let me go.
If you call for help, you shall die.
Why should you kill me? I have done you no harm.
You have said that your sympathies are all with Frankenstein. But do you not realize that I also have suffered? Our quarrel is almost over, Frankenstein. I have come to tell you that I will slay no more of your friends unless they seek to slay me. I have but one life to claim now. Whose life is that? Yours, Frankenstein. The creature shall kill the creator. The monster shall destroy the man who created him. Mark that well, Frankenstein. Before this ship leaves, you shall die. I only pray that before this ship leaves, I am given the strength to kill you. I will be content to die when you are dead. Think not to escape me, Frankenstein. Your life and mine are bound together. I go now, but be prepared. The end may not be far distant. Go after him, Captain. Oh, quick. Bid your men shoot him down.
No. I cannot go after him, Baron Frankenstein. I do not think that anyone can kill that monster. And he has sworn to kill all who strive to slay him. Oh, you must despise me and think me a coward.
I do not think that. I understand. But Go on deck, Captain. Tell your men to keep a close guard. And whatever you do, see that the officers are armed. And carry a firearm yourself. Then return to me and I will continue my story.
Present George Edwards in Frankenstein. Baron Frankenstein was gradually recovering his health, and he was telling his story to his friend Captain Walton on the ship Voyager, which was icebound somewhere near the North Pole. On one occasion, just after Frankenstein had described the death of his wife, the monster appeared on the ship. He went to the cabin, and there he attacked Captain Walton. Frankenstein advised the captain to carry firearms in future and to let his crew do the same. The next day, Captain Walton again visited Frankenstein's cabin.
Well, Captain, what news?
The ship is carefully guarded, Baron Frankenstein. We have seen no sign of the monster.
He swore that he would return here to kill me.
He cannot board this vessel now without being seen. I have placed men on guard all over the vessel.
Oh, that monster is almost a devil. You do not know what he can do.
I must apologize to you because of the abject fear which I showed yesterday.
You need not apologize, Captain. All men show fear when they see the monster. I am his creator, and I am afraid.
Did you say that the monster is impervious to bullets?
I did not say that. He has certainly been wounded twice, but he has recovered. He is so strong.
Well, if we have another visit from him, it shall be his last. I swear that we shall kill him.
I hope so.
Do you feel you are able to tell me what happened after the death of your beloved wife?
Well, the bodyguard Fabian and myself found my wife's body at the foot of the stairs. I picked the body up tenderly and bore it to another room, while Fabian bent for assistance. I looked at the still form of my wife, then I knelt down and prayed. I pray that I be granted life, so that I may destroy the monster which I created. Has not my punishment been enough? Have not others suffered because of my sin? When will my suffering cease? Oh, Elizabeth, my beloved wife, I will live to avenge you and to avenge those who have died because of my evil work.
I kept my promise, Frankenstein.
What? You here?
You cannot move. The creature is stronger than the creator. I hold you fast.
Oh, so great is my hatred that it gives me strength. I shall free myself. I shall kill you.
Hear me, little man. I despise you.
Let me go. Let me go. Let me go.
Hear me. Did you not condemn me to a life without a mate, without a companion? Did you not create me and make me an object of hatred and contempt? Now all men are against you. They know that you created me. They know that you have brought misery to others. Therefore you will become an object of hatred and contempt. You are now without a wife. I killed her. That is her still body lying on the bed. Suffer now as I have suffered, Frankenstein.
Oh, if only I had the strength to kill you.
You have not the strength. In your foolishness, you have made your creature stronger than yourself. My work is done now. I am leaving here. I cannot make you suffer more. I know that every man's hand will be against you, and you will be an outcast just as I am.
Where are you going?
Who knows? I shall wander the world. Mayhap I will find someone as hideous as myself. Someone who will be a companion to me. Wherever you go, I shall follow you. If it be to the ends of the earth, I will not be content to rest until I have destroyed you. Have a care that I do not destroy you. I could do it now. Feel you, my fingers about your throat. All right. Why do you not kill me? It would be a merciful release. But I should not die happily, knowing that you still live. You shall live on. You shall suffer as I have suffered. Mayhap we shall meet again. We shall meet again, I swear it. But tell me, have you the powers of evil? How is it that you were able to find us? How is it that you were able to get into the house? I laughed as I watched you searching for me. You did not think that I could find shelter on the roof, that I could lower myself into the window of this room. Your wife slept. But she heard me as I came through the window. She started up and seized her pistol. She fired, but her aim was wild. She did not struggle much, Frankenstein. Then I took her body and hurled it down the stairs. You have been on the roof all the time? I have.
Oh, Frankenstein, I have sent for the book.
Why? The monster! Shoot him! You shall not kill me!
Oh, he's not my homicide! Let him let me go now! He's choking me!
Oh, let the man go! Do not kill him! He shall die! All my enemies shall die! Do not approach Frankenstein! With one hand I can slay this man, with the other I hold you at bay! Oh, do not kill that man! He shall die! It gives me pleasure to make men die! One man gave me life, but I have given death to many! Help! Help! The man struggles grow weaker, Frankenstein. You cannot aid him now. I hurl him aside. And thus another of my enemies has died. I hurl you aside, and I say farewell. Seek not to find me. My work here is done. Oh, come back. I must have further speech with you. I must find some way to make peace with you. You will have peace if you do not strive to follow me. What happened, Baron Frankenstein? Did the monster make his escape? He climbed through the window, and with surprising agility scrambled onto the roof. I could not go after him, but I called for help. When I turned, I saw the body of my wife lying on the bed, and the body of the man, Fabian, lying on the floor. Oh, words cannot express my utter horror and remorse. I think I wept and hurled myself on the floor in a frenzy of agony. Presently the door opened and the burgomaster entered. As soon as he saw me... Baron Frankenstein, what has happened? Oh, if you have a pistol, dare shoot me. Put an end to my life. I cannot live on. What has happened to Fabian? He is dead. Murdered by the monster. My wife is also dead. Murdered by the monster which you say you created? I did create him. And may God forgive me for that sin. It seems that my suffering is never to end. I am guilty of the murder of these innocent people. For months we have been striving to find that monster and to destroy him. If you are his creator, as you say, then it is your responsibility to find him and destroy him, Baron Frankenstein. I know it. I have communicated with the authorities, and there is talk of ordering your arrest. If you created a devil, you should be punished. Oh, have I not been punished enough? The people of the village murmur against you. They say that you should be hanged for these murders. Oh, I fear that I am going mad. I know that I turned this murderer loose upon society, that while he lives there may be other murders. Therefore I swear a sacred oath that while there is breath in my body, while I live, I should devote my life to tracking him down. We feel that if you remain here, the monster will remain, that other lives will be in danger. So all men are against me. I am to suffer as my creature has suffered. I am to know what it is to be a fugitive, an object of hatred and scorn. It seems that his revenge is indeed complete. I advise you, for your own sake, to leave here today. I will leave very soon. Spare me a few minutes so that I may pray beside the body of my beloved wife. Then will my journey commence. Where it will take me, I know not. But if it be to the end of the earth, I will find him and destroy him. Oh, would that I destroyed him before I gave him life. So be it, Baron Frankenstein. I will see that you are not molested before you leave the village.
Oh, await me downstairs. I will join you in a few minutes.
So, Baron Frankenstein, you were forced to leave your native village.
Yes. When I left my home, my first act was to try and find some clue by which I might trace the steps of my fiendish enemy. I wandered to the cemetery, and I prayed a while by the grave of the child William. Then I heard a sound behind me. I looked up, and it was the monster watching me. He did not speak, but fled away, and I pursued him, only to lose him. But he left a trail of death and disaster wherever he went, and for many months the ceaseless pursuit went on. Sometimes I would almost come up with him. Once, when I was traveling by night, the broad disk of the moon arose, and it shone upon a huge, ghastly, distorted shape which fled before me with more than mortal speed. I went to the coast, and by a strange chance, I saw the fiend hide himself in a vessel bound for the Black Sea. I booked my passage in the same ship, but he escaped, I know not how. I traveled to the wilds of Tartary and Russia, and once I came upon a peasant's home in the wilds of Tartary. I saw the peasant standing outside his cottage. He was wringing his hands in terror, and he said, I have seen the devil himself, a strange, horrid fiend. Tell me, my friend, what have you seen? The devil himself, I tell you, sir. A huge, shambling creature with a countenance more hideous than I have ever seen. He forced his way into my cottage, took all my food, ate it himself, and placed his cold, clammy hands upon my throat. I screamed in mortal agony. Then he withdrew his hands and laughed, the most ghastly laugh that I have ever heard. Tell me, where did this creature go? I know not. He went out of my cottage, and I was afraid to follow him. Here, take the silver to compensate you for anything which the monster stole from you. I must be close to him. I fear my search will soon end. Oh, that laugh again. He will kill us. Do not let him kill me. My quarry is near me. Stand aside, man. This time he shall die.
What happened, Baron Frankenstein? Did you shoot the monster?
Ask me no more now. I am tired. Later on, I will tell you what happened on that fateful day.
V1.
I'm feeling mighty low.
My name is Little Nick, and Mr. Let me be precise. You've lost your pep, you're out of step, so here is my advice.
What'll I do, Little Nick?
Here's what you do, Mr. Quick.
Yes?
You'll stop in at the nearest Needix store.
What'll I buy?
A big, delicious glass of Needix tasty orange drink. It's cool, refreshing flavor you'll adore.
Tell me more. What does it cost, Little Nick?
Only a nickel, Mr. Quick.
Yes?
A glass will help to keep you in the pink.
That's terrific.
For vigor and vim and zip, it's a pleasure to take a sip of a cool Needix orange drink.
B1, Needix, B1.
All aboard, Club Car Special. All aboard.
Tonight, we offer the first of a new series of programs called the Club Car Special. The Club Car Special is based on the March of Events and City Life section of the Hearst Sunday newspapers throughout the country. This section is devoted to the cartoons and writings of America's foremost humorists. O.O. McIntyre, Will Rogers, George Ade, Sam Hellman, Arthur Bugs Bear, Milt Gross, Damon Runyon, and many others. So let's climb on board the Club Car Special right now just for a lark and a laugh. Now, while we're gathering speed, let's take a look at a cartoon. Here's one that shows a picture of a bridal party. And everyone seems to be there but the bridegroom. The bride and her father seem considerably agitated.
Oh, Daddy, why doesn't he come?
There
don't weep. Everything will be all right.
But the guests are all here, and the preacher's here, and I'm here. But where's Elmer? Oh, I just know something terrible happened.
Nothing terrible has happened. Now, just rest easily, dear.
Oh, but it's dreadful. It's terrible. Oh, it's ghastly. Oh, I'm going to faint.
She's fainted. Quick, some water.
Give her air. Stand back there. She's fainted.
Here's water, sir, right here. Ah, thank you, Bodkins. That'll bring her to. The telephone. Quick, Bodkins, the telephone.
Right away, sir. She's coming to. She's coming
Oh, did I hear the phone?
Yes, my dear. Bodkins is answering it.
Well, maybe it's Elmer.
Maybe it's Elmer. Begging your pardon, sir. It is Elmer.
What did he say?
Begging your pardon. He said he's been unavoidably detained, but to go right ahead without him. All aboard. Club Car Special. Next stop, Will Rogers. All aboard.
Everywhere you go, you hear people ask, did you read what Will Rogers said about repeal or about the recognition of Russia or about practically any subject under the sun? No matter what the issue, Will always seems to make just the right comment, a comment that not only carries a hearty laugh, but packs a philosophical wallop besides. Let's hear what Will's been saying lately. We'll ask Jerry Macy to let us have it. Come on, Jerry.
You want it in dialect?
Sure thing, Jerry. Why not?
All right. Well, you know, Will's a funny fella. You were talking about recognizing Russia a while ago. Well, Will's got to thinking about all the caviar that's imported from Russia. He says caviar is a kind of a gooey mess of fish eggs that is, without doubt, the poorest fodder in the world. Caviar costs a lot of money, and so the rich people lap it up just like the lap-up Grand Opera without understanding a line of it. The fish go to a lot of trouble to lay those eggs, especially when they go way up in Russia to lay them. Then Will goes on to say we got fish right here that must lay eggs, but we don't pay any more attention to them than we would to an American lecturer. The eggs our fish lay are just home talent. Will points out that you're supposed to eat caviar before a meal, but what he wants to know is if you got a good meal coming, what's the use of eating anything before it? He figures if the caviar was good, it would spoil your meal because you'd eat too much of it. And if it weren't any good, it would spoil your meal anyhow. Good old Will Rogers. You can't beat him.
Well, Jerry, so that's your idea of Will Rogers, eh?
All aboard. Club Car Special. Next stop, Georgia. All aboard.
In his article in the Hearst newspapers the other day, George Ade tells about two men who met on the street in his hometown. One was a hardened old reprobate who never tried very much to be saved, and the other was the local pastor. And here's what happened.
Good morning, Herman.
Morning, Pastor Wiggins. I'm glad I run into you. You got a minute you can spare?
Anytime, Herman, anytime. What's on your mind?
Well, it's like this, Pastor. I was coming by the cemetery the other morning, and I got to thinking.
Yes, Herman?
I got to thinking about all them folks laying out there who used to go fooling around with pasteboards.
Pasteboards?
I mean, they used to have a go at card playing.
Yes, Herman?
And back in their day, them things weren't allowed.
Well, we're all a little more broad-minded now, Herman.
Yeah, that's just what perplexes me, Pastor. Them folks went straight to the bad place. I know they did, 'cause you told me so yourself.
Yes, that's right, Herman.
But now that shows and dancing are allowed, is all of them folks going to be let off on parole? And if they is, who's going to issue the parole?
All aboard. Club Car Special. Next stop, old McIntyre. All aboard!
O.O. McIntyre was a pioneer in writing syndicated New York columns. At first, the syndicate managers told him that a column devoted entirely to New York would not be popular elsewhere. Mr. McIntyre was so convinced that the managers were wrong that he operated his own syndicate from a room in a third-rate Broadway hotel and, in time, proved his point. He's now just as popular in Detroit and San Antonio as he is on Times Square. O.O. McIntyre knows his Broadway, and Billy Murray knows his O.O. McIntyre. Let's get Billy to give us a few slants on the famous main stem as seen through the eyes of its most observing columnist.
A few columns ago, McIntyre was gossiping about some of the habits and mannerisms of the great and near great. He told about Billy Gaxton, the fellow who plays the part of President Wintergreen in that show called Let 'Em Eat Cake. He said Gaxton always squints his eyes when he sings, while Floyd Gibbons, whenever he's talking, always throws one of his coat lapels back. Charlie Chaplin always sits just on the edge of his chair, and John McCormick carries a pocket comb. Maurice Chevalier is never seen without a bow tie. Norma Shearer never faces an audience. She nearly always shows her profile. Her husband, Irving Thalberg, is fond of going without a hat. Max Stoyer, the great New York attorney, when he speaks to a jury, talks with his hands behind his back. Then there's Walt Disney, the fellow who went to Hollywood and made so much money with Mickey Mouse. Disney is a modest fellow who has lived in the very same house the whole time he's been out there. Further on in his column, he mentioned Sinclair Lewis, the fellow who created the name Babbitt. A Babbitt, according to Sinclair Lewis, is any sort of feeble-witted guy who lives in the suburbs and leads a routine life of 3 square meals a day and commutes and carries a briefcase and an umbrella. Well, McIntyre says Sinclair Lewis is now living in Bronxville, a suburb of New York, and commutes with a briefcase and an umbrella and everything. Oh, here's a funny one, too. Cary Grant, the fellow who plays opposite Mae West, used to be a stilt walker at Coney Island. Maybe that's why Mae is always asking him to come up sometime. Well, that's the kind of stuff McIntyre's always digging up for his readers. I wouldn't miss him for anything. All of us can't meet all the famous people he knows, but when he tells about them, it's the next best thing to meeting them.
All aboard! Club Car Special. Next stop, Milk Road. All aboard!
Everyone knows Milt Gross, the creator of Count Screw-Loose and Dave's Delicatessen. Tonight he tells the story of a racketeer named Chowderface Glutz, who's on trial for blowing up a fruit stand owned by Angelo Peep. Now, it seems that Angelo refused to buy the necessary protection from Chowderface, and as a result, a pineapple was tossed into Angelo's bananas and put him out of business. The accused is now on the witness stand, and his lawyer is trying to prove that his client is really a tender-hearted babe, even though he does resemble the big bad wolf. Chowderface is trying equally hard to remember all the answers. Now tell me, Chowderface, what songs do you like best?
Silver treads among the gold and Mother McCree. They always makes me cry.
What else do you like, Chowder?
Well, for instance, the story of the little match girl, Boys and Flowers, and little Annie Rooney in the funny pictures on account of it's a little girl.
Now, tell us in your own words, Chowder, about this day on which you were supposed to have blown up Angelo's fruit stand.
Well, first I wake up in the morning and I fed the little boys that comes on me windowsill every morning with breadcrumbs.
Go on.
Then I listen to Jolly Bill and Janie on the radio. I like Jolly Bill and Janie on account of Janie is a little girl.
And then what did you do?
Then I practices on me cello, like I promised me mother I always would. And then I went out and helped a old lady across the street with her bundles. And then I went to the town hall, and
Yes, go on. Now, you went to the town hall, and what did you go to the town hall for?
I went to the town hall, and they had a play there what was called Alice in Wonderland. I like Alice in Wonderland on account of she's a little girl what's got a rabbit.
Yes. And what did you do after that?
After that, I goes home and plays Parcheesi with me grandmother. Like I promised me mother I always would.
Go on, Chowder.
Well, then, it was 9 o'clock, and I went to bed and dreamed about the 3 little pigs. And I never seen this guy Angelo with a fruit stand in all me life.
That's all, Chowder. And now, gentlemen of the jury, behold this boy. It is not he who is on trial. It is us. It is all civilization that is on trial. We dragged him down here. Let us see the light and send him back to his coal-black mammy. I mean, to that little cabin in the cotton... to that little gray mother who waits. Gentlemen, I cannot go on. I rest my case. I throw this gentle flower that civilization has crushed beneath its heels upon your tender mercies.
Gentlemen, have you reached a verdict?
Yeah, Your Honor.
How do you find the defendant, gentlemen?
Guilty.
Did you say guilty?
Yeah, Your Honor, on account of we don't like little girls with rabbits.
Well, we've come to the end of tonight's run of the Club Car Special. Don't forget to be on the platform next week at this same time and enjoy the fun and nonsense of America's leading humorists. O.O. McIntyre, George Ade, Will Rogers, Damon Runyon, Bugs Bear, Sam Hellman, Milt Gross, and all the others whose writings and cartoons appear in the March of Events and City Life section of the Hearst Sunday newspapers throughout the country. Laugh with the Club Car Special on your radio. And better still, enjoy the features themselves each week in the Hearst Sunday newspaper in your community.
That smoother taste is what they like. What'll you have? The answer's clear. Pour me a Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. What'll you have? Pabst Blue Ribbon. What'll you have? Pabst Blue Ribbon. What'll you have? Pabst Blue Ribbon. Pabst Blue Ribbon beer.
Smoother, smoother, smoother flavor. Zest and sparkle, millions favor. Taste that smoother, smoother flavor.
Pabst Blue Ribbon beer.
There's music in the air beneath the morning's light, and faith its washes sing on the bright and laughing sky.
Down our way, friendly get-together with folks who love old-fashioned singing. Their town is your town. Their music is the kind you love to hear. Tonight they meet at the home of Eli and Jenny Jenkins to practice songs for the next community entertainment. Patience Peaboy, an important though silent member of the group, is making a hurried call to Jenny Jenkins right now regarding the evening get-together.
Hello? Hello, Jenny. This is Patience. It's all right, Central. You can get off the line now. I got my party all right.
Well, all right. That's all I wanted to know. I wasn't trying to be nosy. Go ahead with your private conversation. I got other calls to place anyway. Number, please.
You have to be a mite careful how you speak to that new Central girl patient. She's just come from Brooklyn or one of them New England states, and she wants to listen into everything so she can get caught up on all the local news.
Like going to work in a candy store, I expect. You want a taste of everything the first week, and then you get so sick you never want another bit.
Well, gossip ain't got the same saturation point. I hate to say it, but I never yet known a woman to get so full of gossip that she never wants to hear some more.
I didn't mean to bother you by calling right at supper time, Jenny, but I wanted to tell you not to fix any sweets to serve at singing practice tonight. I made some oatmeal cookies that I'm a-bringing.
Oh, that's right, sweetie, you Patience. And even though you don't sing with the group anymore, I just don't believe we could hold practice without you sitting here and listening.
Well, I'll see you at 7 then, and if you... Jenny, I hear something in the next room. There it is again.
Maybe it's your cat.
Well, not unless she's put some shoes on. No, it's a man prowling around my bedroom.
A man?
Well, it sure sounds like it. My stars, why did he have to sneak in that way? Any man could walk in through my front door and I'd be delighted.
Now, just stay calm, Patience. Don't get excited. I'll phone the deputy sheriff and have him rush right over.
Me get excited? You'd better calm down a minute and remember that your husband is a deputy sheriff.
Oh, so he is. I forgot I had a husband. Eli, get your sheriff's badge out and start running.
Now, ain't that life for you? The first man that's been inside my house for 14 years, and he has to spoil it all by breaking in the window.
Only an hour has elapsed since Patience heard someone prowling in her bedroom. Eli didn't get there quickly enough to capture the thief, but now he's gathering all the facts, as a good deputy sheriff should, while Patience and the rest of the singing group sit in his parlor watching the proceedings, which he doesn't seem to mind in the least.
So the party, the first part, otherwise known as Exhibit A, otherwise known as Patience Peaboy.
Exhibit A? Why are you putting me on exhibit?
You got an answer for that, but you wouldn't like it. Besides just legal wording, which us sheriffs understands.
I don't know why it has to be such a detailed report, Eli. There was only one little brooch this big stolen, and you've already used 6 pages to describe what happened.
Jenny, I know you're my lawful wife, and you got a right to tell me that I put too much sugar in my coffee, or that I snore when I sleep on my right side. I don't even mind you coming down in the store and telling me how to arrange the canned goods, but this here's different. I'm in charge of keeping the law and order down our way, and that's a man's job, and I'm the man.
I'm sorry, Pa. I didn't mean to interrupt. You go right ahead with the proceedings.
Thanks. Now, barring outside interference, I'll get on with the question. Now, this here sneak thief, hereafter to be called by the moniker John Doe, was ransacking your belongings while you was talking over the phone, correct?
Well, I've told you that a dozen times.
Just confine yourself to answering the questions. Now, for the records, you'll kindly state just who was a-talking to on here in before-mentioned telephone.
You know as well as I do that it was Jenny and...
Gee, Hossifet, do we have to waste the entire evening listening to you spout about that pseudo-legal talk?
Yeah, I don't know what that there pseudo is, but you're right about it being legal, Ben. This is all going to be done right and proper, just like it was the Supreme Court.
You only got elected because folks know that if they voted for you, they'd get their credit extended on your groceries and stuff.
Way of all the dirty...
Now, let's not be saying things we'll be sorry for. Haven't you got enough information to do you for a while? And then we can get back to the question after we've done a bit of practicing.
Well, I guess so. Of course, it ain't very official, seeming to bust into the routine with some singing,
But we must rehearse that song for Parents' Night entertainment at the school, Mr. Jenkins.
Oh, yeah, I suppose so. Are you finished going through them examination papers so we can start?
Yes. Cliff has been helping me while you talked, so we're all through.
I feel like no less than a vice principal after thumbing through all those examination papers.
Yes, now you've wasted so much time with all this here talking that I've got to take my capsules. I don't like to do that when I'm about to sing, neither. Don't seem to have the proper resonance with them capsules rolling around inside of me.
Here's a glass of water, Ben. I brought it in early so you'd have it handy.
Oh, that's real thoughtful of you, Jenny. You're the only one that takes a real interest in my symptoms, and have I got symptoms?
Oh, golly, let's get to singing quick.
Did I tell you about what I read in Chapter 5 of Dr. Samuel's Family Manual of Medicine?
Yeah, come on, Jenny. Come on, start the music.
Sir,
we're all ready.
It says in Chapter 5 that hot flashes in the morning is mighty important. There's usually the indication that your circulation ain't circulating properly, and further it says that...
Brightly the moonlight is shining down through the trees from above. Two lovers wait by the old garden gate, telling tales of love. He bids the maid cease repining, whispering, sweetheart, don't sigh. Soon you and I will be happy in the sweet by and by. In the sweet by and by. In the sweet by and by. We'll have a cottage that's built for two.
Then lovey-love-dovey and dovey-love-oo.
The sweet by and by. In the sweet by and by. Love's dream will seem sweet as peaches and cream in the sweet by and by. After the winter is over, after the summer is done, I'll have a cot in a shady green spot with my only one. Hand in hand down through the clover, when work is over we'll stray. Then we'll forget all our sorrows, watching baby at play. In the sweet by and by, in the sweet by and by, we'll have a cottage that's built for two.
Then lovey-love-dovey and dovey-love-oo.
That's good, man. By and by, in the sweet by and by. Love's dream will seem sweet as peaches and cream in the sweet by and by.
And it continues in chapter 6 by saying that heartburn after eating indicates just one thing.
That you ate too much. To think you stopped my question and to listen to that.
You ain't happy for 1 second with your mouth closed, are you, Eli? There ain't a woman living that could ever equal your talking marathon.
I'm glad you brought that to Eli's attention, Ben. If there's anything that gets me all wrought up, it's one of these people that's always a-talking. I remember my late husband Sylvester saying the same thing. He used to say to me, Patience, God's greatest gift to man is a woman who knows how to keep her mouth shut. He used to say that so often, too. Never could know why that was always coming to his mind.
Yeah, there must have been something that kept reminding him. But let's get back to this here report about that thief, or else he'll be in Mexico before I get this alarm to the neighboring sheriff stations.
Would you like me to write it down as you speak, Mr. Jenkins? It might speed things up.
Oh, that'll be fine, Alice. Now, I got the part in about the... No, now, doggone it, who do you suppose that is?
Go ahead, and I'll get it, Eli.
All right. Now, you might put down, Alice, that the sheriff in charge, one Eli P. Jenkins...
Hello?
Is the governor calling, Ma?
What about the sheriff in charge?
Yeah, the sheriff in charge is planning a large-scale manhunt for the desperate character who perpetrated this year. Who is it, Ma?
It's for you, Cliff. It's that new fellow who runs the livery stable across from your gas station.
Thanks.
I never knowed before that he lives upstairs over the stable.
Hello?
What's wrong with that, Jenny? We lives up over our store.
Well, if you don't know the difference between horses and groceries, there ain't no need of my trying to explain.
Is that so? Well, I'll be right down. Thanks for calling.
Anything wrong, Cliff?
Nothing important.
With Uranus afflicting this away, there's no telling what could happen.
I'm just going to run down to my station for a moment. Be back in a few minutes.
I guess we can settle down again now.
Jenny, look out.
Huh? What's the matter?
Well, you were stepping on a little throw rug, and you know how often them things slip and people falls and breaks their necks.
Well, land of Goshen, I'd rather fall than be scared to death with your yelling.
But we all gotta be careful during these days. Not you as much as poor old Ben.
What's the matter with me?
Well, it's 'cause of your sign, Ben. Uranus has moved into your solar fourth house, and... wait, Ben, don't do that.
Do what? I was just taking my white pills.
But have you ever thought that arsenic is white, too? How do you know what's in them pills?
Well, if we had your cat here, we could give her one and then soon find out.
Oh, how awful.
Are you two going to be responsible for the increase of crime in this country?
Huh?
Well, if you don't shut up and let me finish this here investigation so's I can trap the criminal, and you might well be.
Go ahead. Nobody's stopping you.
Yeah, we got to plan this out methodically. If I could have an assistant to take charge of some of the territory, I guess there's nothing to do but call on the volunteer fire chief for help. At least he's got a badge, too.
You mean you want me to do your dirty work? Ain't it enough that I strain my ligaments a rushing to fires?
If you're humanitarian and patriotic, you'll put the welfare of the community first and do your duty.
Eli, I hate to break in this way, but we'll have to get some of the practicing done before it gets any later. Couldn't you and Ben go off in the kitchen while Alice runs through her solo for the parents' night at the school?
Well, all right. I ought to have a regular police station with a desk and a hammer. Then maybe I'd get some respect. Come on, Ben.
You got your music, Alice?
Don't need it for this. I know the word.
You want me to start you off, Alice?
Leave her alone, Eli. She's done lots of singing before she ever had you leading her. All right, Alice.
'Tis the last breath of summer left blooming alone. All her lovely companions are faded and gone. No flower of her kindred, no rosebud is known. To reflect back her blushes, or give sigh for sigh. I'll not leave thee, my lone one, to pine on the stem, since the lovely are sleeping. Go sleep thou with them. Thus kindly I scatter thy leaves o'er the bed, where thy mates are
We got it all planned out, folks. Now, don't you worry none, patients. Within 10 days after this here manhunt gets rolling under my personal direction, we'll have that robber in the hoosgow where he belongs.
Well, if you don't make any more headway than you done already, he'll be tottering with old age before the long arm of the law reaches him.
You got no respect for...
May I come in?
Come right on in, Cliff. Oh, you got somebody with you.
Yes. Mrs. Jenkins, may I present Bob Agnew?
I'm glad to meet you, Bob.
And this is Mrs. Peaboy.
Howdy do.
Mr. Jenkins.
Hello, Bob.
Mr. Ben Potts.
Howdy, young feller.
And Bob, you said you were in Alice Wilson's class in school?
Yeah. Hello, Miss Wilson.
How are you, Bob?
Did he come to hear us practice, Cliff?
Well, not exactly. He really came to say something to patients.
To me?
That's right. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, well, here. I want to give this back to you.
What? Why, it's my brooch.
What's that?
Yeah, I stole it.
Tarnation and thunderation. He can't just come in here and say a thing like that.
But he really did, Mr. Jenkins. We've had a man-to-man talk, and he wanted to come up here with me.
But it ain't legal. I haven't even got this report finished yet.
You don't need to now. It will all be cleared up if Patience will help us and cooperate.
You mean it wasn't really a man in my bedroom? It was only this little boy?
I ain't a little boy.
Yes, Patience. It was Bob.
But I'm the sheriff around here. You can't go bringing criminals to our parlor.
Hush up, Pa. Can't you see the boy ain't no criminal?
Looks to me like Cliff done a right good thing. You only wanted a chance to use your gun and your handcuffs, Eli.
When the man at the livery stable phoned a while ago, he told me he saw someone hanging around my gas station. It was Bob, wanting a can of gasoline.
Yeah, if that old tub hadn't run out, I'd have been in Shelby Junction by now.
Yeah, you shouldn't be driving a car at your age.
But maybe it's just as well it didn't. Cliff here told me some things I never thought about before, and I never wanted to steal your old brooch anyway. I only wanted some money, and I thought it might be worth something.
Might be worth something. Why, I'll have you know my late husband Sylvester gave me that, and it said on the box that it was genuine simulated pearls.
Was the price tag still on it?
It's account of Miss Wilson that it all happened.
Count of me? Bob, let's go in the other room and talk this over.
Fine, you do that. And I'll rehearse my solo meantime. Could you furnish me with a little accompaniment, Mrs. Jenkins?
Cliff, I don't know what to do about you. Here's the biggest crime that's ever been committed down our way since old Joshua Sparks expectorated on the floor of the Jepson County bus. And you have to go and take the law in your own hands.
That weren't deliberate, Eli. The boy was down at his station, and he brung him right up here.
Yeah, but he should have called the sheriff the minute he got him cornered.
Only meant to help the boy, Mr. Jenkins.
Yeah, now Alice is taking charge of things. I'm going to bust right in there and start grilling the criminal in a legal way.
You stay out of there, Pa. He's only a child, and Alice knows how to talk with him. You stay right here and lead Cliff in his singing.
Yeah, all right. Go ahead, Ma. Sound the cord. That's the trouble of being sheriff in your own town. All right, Cliff.
Take thou my gift, my offering of roses, culled from my garden, sweet with twilight dew. If but one flower upon your breast reposes, life shall forever hold no rose but you. Love sends a little gift of roses, breathing a prayer unto my posies, torn from my heart as twilight closes, asking this, only this, one heart to grow a little tender, two eyes to glow with love's own splendor, two lips to give in sweet surrender, just a kiss, just a kiss.
Wasn't that beautiful, Bob?
Yeah, that was swell.
You've a new fan, Cliff. Bob thinks your singing is pretty fine.
Oh, thanks.
We've had a nice talk, and everything's straightened out.
I'm sorry for what I done.
I wouldn't have minded so much if it'd only been a man.
Well, I'm 14. After this year, I start to high school.
She just met an old man like me.
Oh, well, I had to have some money, that's all, and I didn't know how else to get
But
it.
now that's all solved. Bob's going to work for me after school at the station.
Yeah, that'll be swell.
Ain't I even going to be allowed to ask the questions? This boy probably don't even know I'm the sheriff.
But I didn't mean to do any harm, sir. I never done a thing like that before.
Stop scaring him that way, Eli.
And now, just how does Miss Alice Wilson figure in this here crime?
She don't.
But you said she was responsible for it.
She's my teacher.
Oh, I knowed that.
And if I'd got an 85% grade in English, none of this would have happened.
So you blamed her for that?
Well, I studied hard, but nobody around here talks like they say you're supposed to in the English book. That is, nobody except Miss Wilson and Cliff. so I don't know what to do.
Now, if that ain't insulting an officer of the law, I never heard insults. Of course we don't talk like they do in the English books. We're Americans.
He didn't mean anything, Mr. Jenkins.
Pa told me if I got a 85% grade in English, he'd buy me a cape and a top hat so I could do my magic tricks at the Parents' Night Entertainment next week.
Yeah, so you went and committed a crime to get 'em anyway.
It's all settled now. I'll buy the cape and top hat with school money, and Bob can use them for the evening.
Ain't that swell? I've been taking a course by mail in magic, and I can do things you can't hardly believe.
Yeah, seemed you make a brooch disappear pretty good.
Eli, that's enough of that. Patience, why don't you go and make some hot chocolate while we finish up our practicing? Did you remember to bring them oatmeal cookies with you?
My stars, I forgot all about them. Could somebody run over to my house and get them off the kitchen table while I make the hot chocolate?
Well, we've all got to sing. Let's see. Bob, would you please go after him, and then we can all have something good to eat?
Would you do that, son? Here's the key to my front door.
Well, what are you...
Won't take you but a minute, Bob.
I'll be glad to. I'll cut right across the lot, and I'll be back in a jiffy.
Now what are you women gone and done? You, Jenny, and Patience have gone and given him the key to the house he was stealing from not 3 hours ago. And Alice is going to buy him a hat and cape, and I bet it ain't going to be out no school money either.
It doesn't matter. It won't cost very much.
Pa, if you don't stop worrying and getting riled up, you'll have blood pressure higher than Ben's.
Huh? Reminds me, I haven't taken my cod liver oil. Where's that glass of water?
Cod liver oil, that's for babies. But since you're hitting your second childhood, it might be a good idea.
Oh, look here, you old goat.
Now relax, you two. And by the time we finish singing this song, Bob will be back here. You just wait and see.
All right, Jenny. Come on, folks. Get your books turned right here at the right page. Yeah, that's...
Oh, love that will not let me go. I rest my weary soul in thee.
That's nice singing, I call it. You know how we might improve, Clifford? We should give it some pointers now and then.
Well, Mr. Jenkins, maybe some of the technique is lacking, but you have more than enough feeling to make up for it.
Thanks, Cliff. We sure like to sing. Wonder what time it is, Jenny?
10 minutes after 9, Pa.
Bob ain't back yet. You know, it shouldn't have taken him this long.
I know.
You got that hot chocolate ready, Patience? May as well drink it, and then I'll start out on that manhunt I planned in the first place.
Yes, here it is. Careful now, not to burn yourselves.
Thank you.
Why'd you have to go and put a marshmallow on the top? Looks like a blasted tea party.
He'll come back, Eli. I know he will.
I hope you're right, Ma. Speaking as Eli Jenkins and not as Sheriff Jenkins.
Here he comes now.
Huh?
Sure enough, that's somebody coming up the stairs.
Am I late?
Not at all, Bob. We've just passed the hot chocolate.
I'll get a plate for the cookies, and you help yourself to that cup on the tray.
Thanks. Sorry to be so long, but there was a loose board on your front steps, Miss Peavoy.
I know. It's been that way for 5 years. I've been trying to get Chris over to fix it, but he's always so busy.
Well, I tripped on it and kind of fell.
You did? Did you hurt yourself, Bob?
No, just skinned my knee a little. But anyway, I found a hammer on your back porch and a few nails. So I stopped to nail the board down before someone else fell on it.
Now, that's right nice of you, Bob. Thanks for your trouble, and I'll pay you what I'd have given Chris to fix it.
Oh, no, don't do that. I've caused you enough trouble. I just wish it had never happened.
Bob, it's mighty fine what you did. And I want to tell you something that I wish I'd known at your age. That something is about the faith of women. It's one of the grandest things there is on this earth. And this evening, Jenny and Patience and Alice put all the faith in the world in you, and you didn't let 'em down. Maybe some of us is kind of slow extending that faith, but when you finish your chocolate and cookies and head home this evening, Bob, know that you left behind you folks that have got a heap of confidence in you, and they want to be your friends.
Gee, Mr. Jenkins, that's swell.
There's music in the air when the infant morn is nigh, and the baby's blush is seen on the bright and laughing sky.
It's been an eventful evening down our way. We don't always have that much in the way of real excitement, but we always have fun with our singing and visiting. There's singing practice again a week from tonight. We'll see you then.
Banana, and I come to say bananas have to ripen in a certain way where they are flecked with brown and have a golden hue. Bananas taste the best and are the best for you. You can put them in a salad. You can put them in a pie. Any way you want to eat them. It's impossible to beat them. But bananas like the climate of the very, very tropical equator. So you should never put bananas in the refrigerator. No.
About time this hotel got a new lift. About time I got a new job, too. This musty old dump will send me nuts. And what's the number of Lady Portlock's room? 24. Number 24. Morning, Lady Portlock. Still asleep, the old trout. Shall I draw the curtains, Lady Portlock? I hope it isn't too light for you. I brought you porridge, bacon, and eggs. Lady Portlock. Lummy, she's dead.
The BBC presents A Case for Dr. Morell. The first in a new series of half-hour adventures by Ernest Dudley, with Cecil Parker as the famous Dr. Morell and Sheila Sim as his secretary, Miss Frail. Episode 1, Alarm Call.
There is no doubt that the criminal is a split personality, his mind unbalanced as a result of subconscious forces which constantly urge him onwards towards self-destruction.
Dr. Morell.
What is it, Miss Shawcroft?
Can you repeat that last point? I'm afraid I missed it.
You keep on missing what I'm dictating.
I'm sorry, but I'm so tired. Working late last night and having to be here again at the crack of dawn.
I'm perfectly wide awake.
But it's all very well for you, Doctor. You're just a human dynamo.
Well, let us proceed. I must finish these notes today. It's most important.
I hope you aren't expecting me to work till midnight tonight.
Well, if necessary, why not?
Because if you're a machine, Doctor, I'm not. And if you think I can go on like this, slogging away till all hours, you've got another think coming.
Miss Shawcroft.
I got here at 7 this morning, and you expect me to
In
go
point
on...
of fact, Miss Shawcroft, you were 5 minutes late.
Listen to you. No wonder I'm the umpteenth secretary you've had since that Miss Frail left you. You're just not human, that's your trouble. Well, I am. I'm not made of clockwork, and I'm fed up with you treating me as if I was. So good morning to you, Dr. Morell, and goodbye.
Obviously suffering from a persecution complex. Now, where are those notes I was checking? Here they are. Mm-hmm. Oh, doubtless that will be Miss Shawcroft returning to apologize. I suppose under the circumstances I shall have to accede to her plea to be reinstated. So you've changed your mind.
Hello, Dr. Morell.
Miss Frail.
Did you think it was someone else?
I was expecting Miss Shawcroft, returning to finish her work. Won't you come in?
Oh, I'm so glad you found somebody who also doesn't mind working all hours.
Yes. We'll go to the study.
You're sure I'm not disturbing you?
Indeed, no. I'm eager to know to what I owe this unexpected pleasure. Please go in. Sit down.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, I was under the impression that you were happily employed in Bournemouth.
Oh, no, I've left Mrs. Padmore. She's gone to live in Dorset with a widowed sister.
You mean you've come to ask if you can return to me in your former employment?
Oh, no. I'm sure you're Miss Shawcroft. Did you say her name was? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure she's taking care of you very well.
Yes, quite.
No, Doctor. It's Baroness Beauville. She's dead.
Whom did you say?
She lives at the Wigmore Hotel just down the road. I worked there as secretary to the manager.
So near, Miss Frail, and you hadn't been to see me?
Oh, I'm sorry, but I haven't been there long, and we've been awfully busy. But about Baroness Beauville, look, could I tell you on the way?
You want me to come to the hotel?
Yes, that's why I rushed round to see you. Her death is a bit of a shock. Shall I get your hat and coat?
That's very kind of you.
I haven't forgotten where you keep them.
I am gratified to know that you cherish some memories of me.
Here you are. Now, if we could hurry.
Thank you. So you're at the Wigmore Hotel?
Yes. Frankly, I don't care for it overmuch.
Don't you, Miss Frail?
Oh, could we please hurry, Dr. Morell?
But of course, my dear Miss Frail, certainly. I mustn't keep you waiting.
This is the Wigmore Hotel reception. Very good, sir. I'll send the papers up to you at once.
If anyone wants me, I shan't be available for half an hour.
Very good, Mr. Winter.
When will I be here? Miss Frail's been gone about 10 minutes. Ah.
This is Dr. Morell, Mr. Winter.
I'm so glad you've come.
Only too happy to oblige, Miss Frail.
We'll go up to the Baroness's suite at once, Doctor. Miss Frail has put you in the picture.
Yes, Mr. Winter. I've told him what's happened.
It's on the second floor. I'm afraid the lift's a bit antiquated. It was a new floor waiter who made the sad discovery. He says he went into Baroness Beauville's suite by mistake, and...
What time was this?
About 7:30. I went up immediately, of course. The Baroness Beauville had obviously been dead some time. Heart attack, I suppose.
Oh, poor thing.
Here we are. Miss Frail, Doctor. I'll lead the way. Have you informed the Baroness's companion, Miss Frail? Mademoiselle... her name eludes me for the moment.
Mademoiselle Rollin. No, I must do that.
I'll phone her at her flat. Well, here we are. I locked the door, naturally. The sitting room. The bedroom's through here. And the Baroness was found exactly as you see her now.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I see. As you surmise, Mr. Winter, she's been dead for several hours.
Heart attack, of course.
That is a matter which the post-mortem will decide. These appear to be sleeping tablets by her bedside.
The bottle's half empty, and the top's been left off.
I had observed that.
Doctor, you don't mean that it's...
It's what, Mr. Winter?
You don't think it's suicide, Dr. Morell?
Not necessarily.
Oh, you think she may have taken an overdose of these tablets accidentally?
I say that it is not necessarily suicide, Miss Frail.
Oh, I see.
Thank heavens for that.
Why should you seem so pleased?
I'm afraid I was thinking of the scandal attached to the hotel. I'm sorry to appear so callous.
Well, it's your duty to have your hotel's good name at heart.
Well, that's why Mr. Winter sent for you.
Well, these tablets are doubtless of the barbiturate class.
I know Baroness Beauville didn't sleep very well.
The effect of a small dose of barbiturates are unharmful, but the deceased's external symptoms suggest a coma which could have been induced by an excess of the drug.
This glass has some milk in it.
Well, doubtless she took her sleeping tablets in it. Nothing has been touched, Mr. Winter?
Nothing. But if it's an accident,
Shall I answer it?
Thank you, Miss Frail.
Oh, I'd better pick it up with a handkerchief.
Well, of course, if it makes you feel any happier.
Hello?
Baroness Beauville, your alarm call.
Oh, it isn't the Baroness, but thank you.
The Baroness asked to call. It's 8:00 now.
Oh, it's only the switchboard, Doctor. Baroness Beauville's alarm call.
Shall we go back to the sitting room?
Yes.
Very well.
The Baroness? Oh, what's happened?
This is Mademoiselle Rollin.
Monsieur Winter, is she...
This is Dr. Morell. I'm afraid that the Baroness...
I must go to her. She's dead. I know she's dead. Oh, what an awful shock for her.
Will she be all right, Doctor?
She is best left alone in there. For the moment.
What is it?
Well, this French novel here, open on the table. These sentences penciled underneath. Et maintenant, la dernière de mes amis est partie. La vie est vide. Je reste seul, triste et seul.
And now, the last of my good friends has departed. Life is empty. Only I remain, sadly alone.
Brilliant translation, Miss Frail. How should I manage without your invaluable help?
Oh, Dr. Morell, it's nothing.
I noticed that the book is inscribed to Anthony Winter. Any relation of yours, Mr. Winter?
I am Anthony Winter.
You knew the Baroness well? The inscription is worded with some affection.
I met her in Geneva. She stayed at the same hotel where I was studying the hotel business.
I see.
As a matter of fact, she helped me to get this job as assistant manager here. She happened to know one of the directors.
I understand. I wonder if I might have a word with the waiter who discovered the body.
Of course. I'll find him at once and send it along to you.
Thank you.
Oh, poor thing. Are you all right, Mademoiselle? I had a strange foreboding when I left her last night. Foreboding?
What time did you leave?
Just before she retired to bed. About 8:45. I prepared her milk, set her alarm clock for 8 a.m., as usual, and left her reading.
Would that be the alarm clock that was by her bedside?
But yes.
You omitted to notice that it has stopped at 3 minutes past 9 precisely, so that it must have failed to ring as you set it.
But it's never gone wrong before. Doctor, what time did the Baroness die last night?
I should estimate at between 10:30 and 11 o'clock.
Oh, I just wondered if it might have been at the same time as the clock stopped. It is all so strange. My premonition, the clock stopping, and then early this morning I knew something was wrong. That was why I hurried here. Well, Mr. Winter was going to telephone you.
Me? You are the waiter who found Baroness Beauville dead?
Yeah, of course. I never knew it was her then. I thought it was somebody else.
How did you come to make the error?
Well, you see, I'm a bit new round here. I was supposed to take Lady Portlock's breakfast in.
Who has the dog?
Yeah, a sloppy-looking thing that scratches the paint everywhere. And then I got her sweet mixed up with this one, that's all. Morning, Lady Portlock. Still asleep, the old trout. Shall I draw the curtains, Lady Portlock? Yeah, I hope that isn't too light for you. I bought your porridge, bacon and eggs. Lady Portlock.
Thing of a shock for you.
Oh, yeah. It certainly gave me a turn. Anyway, I rushes off to find Mr. Winter.
No one saw you come in? No one saw you go out?
No.
What is the number of Lady Portlock's room?
Why, it's,
34, Dr. Morell.
Yeah, that's it. It's on the floor above.
And you mistook this suite for hers?
I know. It's, well, just one of them mental tricks.
I understand.
Well, will that be all, sir?
You may go.
Thanks.
Dr. Morell, I have just thought of something.
What is it, mademoiselle?
This book. It was the one the Baroness was reading.
I had already noticed it.
But you have seen where it is open. It has been underlined in pencil. Et maintenant, la dernière de mes amis est partie.
I know, yes, I know. Miss Frail very kindly translated.
Then, do you see the significance of it?
Not especially.
Well, what is it, mademoiselle? But do you not know? Baroness Beauville has been very depressed these last few days, ever since she received news of her brother's death in California. He was her last surviving relative. Don't you see, Doctor?
Oh, you think that was what she meant when she underlined that in the book?
That is exactly what I mean. I'm sure she did it deliberately. Dr. Morell.
If you will take a glance, Miss Frail, you will see that there are many other passages in this book similarly marked.
Oh, may I look, Mademoiselle Rolla?
Of course.
Yes. Yes, this page is marked, and something underlined here.
I am sure with your excellent command of the language, you will agree that these other marked passages have no significance.
La maison est tranquille maintenant. Le soir descend. Yes, it's obviously just something she marked for reasons of her own.
A form of eccentricity in which many readers indulge.
It is true the Baroness was becoming a little Now, I'm sorry that I have been rather sharp with her lately.
Ah, well, old people can become an irritation.
Ah, but one should not let them get on one's nerves. Only, I try to be so businesslike myself.
I know. I once heard the Baroness saying to Mr. Winter how very efficient you were.
Thank you. But I should not have overlooked the fact that she was old. Her mind was a little woolly.
Well, I'm sure you looked after her very well.
But my nerves have been a little on edge. Oh, poor Baroness.
So, Dr. Morell, it seems that it was an accident, all right. You see, Mademoiselle, well, Mr. Winter was a little worried, too, that it was, that the Baroness...
I am positive that she did not take her own life.
How do you know?
When Baroness Beauville found that her alarm clock had stopped so that she couldn't be sure of waking at her usual time, she asked the switchboard to give her an alarm call. She would hardly have gone to that trouble if she was about to commit suicide.
Of course. It was an accident. That's what you mean, isn't it, Doctor? She took a second lot of sleeping tablets, forgetting that she'd taken some before.
It was not an accident, either.
What? But it must have been.
Never in all my experience have I known anyone to take an overdose of sleeping tablets by mistake. It is a popular notion, but in fact it is invariably a premeditated act.
But you just said it wasn't suicide.
Quite, Miss Frail.
Then, if it wasn't an accident, and she didn't take her own life...
One other conclusion only remains. Murder.
Murder? But this is madness. Who would want to murder her?
Dr. Morell.
What is it?
Listen. There's someone in the next room. As if it is somebody.
Doctor, it can't be.
The Baroness? It would be most interesting, not to say a miracle.
Oh, I'm frightened. Who can it be, Doctor?
One way to answer that question is to go and see.
Doctor.
Yes, Miss Frail?
You don't know who it may be.
I find your concern for my welfare quite touching.
There is someone. Don't go in there, Doctor.
It would appear to be unnecessary. Whoever it is coming out here.
Ah, there you are.
Oh, Mr. Winter.
We thought it was...
Why, did I startle you?
Oh, we heard someone in there.
Well, I thought I heard the sound of somebody myself as I passed the bedroom door in the corridor. I went in, but it wasn't anything. Forgive me if I scared you.
There is always a natural explanation for what might appear to be supernatural.
I met the waiter. I hope you got all you wanted out of him, Dr. Morell.
He was most informative.
Good. I asked him to bring some coffee.
You're very kind.
Thank you. Mr. Winter, I'm afraid that...
What is it? Has something happened?
Oh, it's too dreadful.
The Baroness, Dr. Morell, thinks that she was murdered.
What?
I don't think, Miss Frail. I know.
Well, this is simply ghastly. What do we do?
Telephone the police.
The police? But, how do you know it's murder? Who did it? Come in.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but...
Oh, what is it?
Well, you did say coffee for 4, didn't you?
I told you there were 4 of us.
Oh, I'm very sorry, sir, but I'm a bit confused. The shock, I still haven't got over seeing her.
Oh, yes, all right. Get the coffee, will you?
Yes, sir, right away, Mr. Winter.
Just a moment.
Yes, sir?
Perhaps you would take me down in the lift.
Yes, sir.
If you'll forgive me for a few moments, I want to speak to reception.
Of course, Doctor. We'll wait here.
Shall I come with you, Doctor?
I think I can manage, Miss Frail.
Well, the lift's this way, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, this is a fine carry-on, isn't it, Doctor? Poor old girl. Fancy a thing like that happening to her.
In the midst of life, we are in death.
Eh? Oh, yeah. Here, I don't mind telling you something.
Don't you?
You see, I'm a bit worried.
In what way?
Well, I'm afraid Mr. Winter suspects me of having bumped her off or something.
Whatever makes you think that?
Well, you know what suspicious minds people have, and he wouldn't mind getting one in at me.
You mean he has a motive for revenge?
Well, I knew him at the job he had before he come here.
You were both employed at the same hotel?
Yeah, Geneva, in Switzerland.
Yes, sir.
The Baroness stayed there, too, for a bit. But as I was saying about Mr. Winter, there was some funny business at this other place, and he left.
What do you mean by funny business?
Well, I don't know exactly. It was all hushed up. But I do know he went all of a sudden. Here, I'll press the lift button, sir. Oh, I didn't notice the lift was here all the time. Right, Doctor.
Thank you.
What's happened?
It would appear that there is no lift.
Blimey. Wait, you might have fallen clean down the shaft.
That was rather what I was thinking.
I knew this would happen. I kept on telling them this old lift's a death trap. Well, the doors opened all right, sir. So I thought the lift was there. Oh, that put me in a cold sweat.
Never mind. It's only a matter of a few stairs down. I'll walk.
Well, you're a cool customer, Doctor, and no mistake. I better go and tell Mr. Winter before there really is an accident. You might have been killed.
Is something wrong?
Oh, you're there, sir. I didn't hear you.
What's the matter, Dr. Morell?
Nothing serious yet.
It's this blooming... Oh, it's the lift, sir.
Yes, yes.
Well, I pressed the button and the doors opened like you see, and Dr. Morell was about to step in.
Good.
Only there was no lift.
Good heavens, Dr. Morell. Why, you might have fallen to your death.
It is quite a drop.
I'm most terribly sorry.
Well, it's so old, Mr. Winter. I've complained about it 2 or 3 times.
All right, leave it to me.
Yes, sir.
Go along and get that coffee.
Very good, sir.
I'll continue on my way.
This is most distressing. I can't tell you how it's upset me.
It might have upset me.
Dr. Morell, I came after you because... Well, that is to say...
Your intuition warned you that something like this might happen?
Not that exactly. There was something I wanted to tell the waiter, but it's completely escaped my mind.
Then it couldn't have been very important, could it?
I'm afraid this business about Baroness Beauville has rather shaken me. My head's spinning round.
I understand.
And now this lift business. Oh, excuse me a moment. Oh, Dr. Morell.
Yes?
I just wanted to make sure that waiter wasn't hanging about trying to listen.
You appear to have something on your mind.
Perhaps I shouldn't mention this, but...
Whenever anybody says that to me, it inevitably means that they should and will.
Yes, of course, you're right. It's about the waiter.
He seems to be finding himself curiously involved with disaster.
Not a very good type. It was the manager who took him on, and I didn't like to say what I knew about him.
What did you know about him?
I recognized him when he applied for the job. He was at the same hotel I was at before I came here.
At Geneva, in Switzerland?
Yes. Well, how did you know?
He happened to pass on that information to me just now.
Did he? Did he happen to mention that he was kicked out because one of the residents complained about him? That he'd stolen some money from her bedroom?
I rather fancy that had eluded his memory.
I'll bet it had. Although, I must admit, nothing was proved against him. The woman was an eccentric and may have made it all up. That's why I kept quiet when he came here for a job.
Well, that was very generous-minded of you.
But he's a shifty-eyed specimen, and not even a very good waiter. What else did he have to say?
Well, his story was exactly the reverse of yours. According to him, it was you who left under a cloud.
He told you that? Well,
don't let it concern you unduly. I've already dismissed it from my mind. It has no bearing on the present situation.
Yes, that's all very well, but...
You can explain the matter to the manager and leave him to take whatever action he thinks proper.
Yes, but there's something else. My reason for being in Baroness Beauville's bedroom just now.
You said you thought you heard someone.
No, it wasn't that. The truth is, I saw the waiter go in through the door from the corridor after he had left you.
Indeed?
I waited round the corner until he came out again. Then I appeared, pretending I hadn't spotted him.
And what did you discover when you yourself went into the bedroom?
It seemed the same as it had been before. But what was he doing there? I thought it suspicious. Only I didn't want to mention it before the others.
Quite the model of discretion, Mr. Winter, aren't you?
What was he nosing around for?
Possibly merely because he's inquisitive, with a tendency towards the morbid. Not an unusual or unknown characteristic.
Oh, perhaps you're right, Doctor.
Miss Frail will inform you that I make a practice of it, Mr. Winter.
And do you have to call in the police?
Certainly.
Yes, I suppose you must.
Now, if you'll forgive me, I must go down to reception.
I'd better get something done about that.
Wigmore Hotel reception. Good morning, madam. Yes, certainly a table for 2. Good morning, madam. Oh, good morning, sir. Can I help you?
I wonder if you could let me have the Baroness Beauville's mail. I am Dr. Morell.
There weren't any letters for her this morning.
No?
I just looked under B. There's nothing.
Just look again, will you?
Why,
The pigeonhole B.
Oh, there is a letter there. I must have missed that. And it's for the Baroness Beauville, too. Oh, it's nothing important. There you are.
Thank you.
Only from a theatre agency. Excuse me. Wigmore Hotel reception, yes? Oh, yes, sir. We have your reservation for next Thursday. Yes? I'll tell the manager. Good morning, sir. Was there something else, Dr. Morell?
Tell me, did the Baroness arrange about her alarm call last night with you?
That's right, just before I went off duty.
What time was that?
Just after 9 o'clock. She phoned down that her alarm clock had gone wrong or something. So would I give her a ring at 8?
Was that her usual time for getting up?
I didn't know about that.
When she spoke to you, did she sound quite normal?
Oh, yes. Ever so normal.
She didn't give you the impression that she was at all upset?
Oh, no. She was perfectly ordinary.
Has she ever arranged for you to give her an alarm call before?
No. Not that I can remember. Oh, she may have done that with the night porter. He takes over when I go off.
Thank you.
Only too glad to help, I'm sure.
Well, in that case, perhaps you'd do just one other thing for me.
What's that, Doctor?
Just get me Scotland Yard on the phone, will you?
There you are, Dr. Morell. The coffee's just arrived.
Good.
Shall I pour you some?
I was just about to.
That's all right. There you are, Doctor.
Thank you.
Find out all you wanted from reception?
I think so.
And the police, you told them?
We've had a word over the telephone.
Dr. Morell.
Yes, Miss Frail?
There's that look on your face.
Indeed.
It may be some time since I've helped you with your cases, but I haven't forgotten that expression when you know the answer.
Do you know?
Doctor, you haven't drunk your coffee.
A pity, my dear Miss Frail, that you've not lately had the opportunity of lending your assistance in my investigation.
I have missed working with you, I must admit.
You flatter me. Had you been, you would have appreciated the trend of my studies of the criminal mind, which have led me more and more to the conclusion that I've reached, which is that a murderer, to take an example suitable to this case, is possessed with an inner compulsion forcing him to destroy not only his victim, but himself.
How fascinating.
Your coffee, Dr. Morell.
Yes, it's getting cold.
Do go on, Doctor.
Thank you, Miss Frail. One manifestation of this inner compulsion is the criminal's obsessive urge to return to the scene of the crime. By so doing, he may thus reveal his guilt and so accomplish his self-destruction. Now, concerning Baroness Beauville's murder, another characteristic emerges. It was revealed to me by the contents of this letter addressed to the Baroness, which I've taken the liberty of opening. It's from a ticket agency, acknowledging a phone call yesterday, cancelling 2 tickets for tonight's opera. Who cancelled those tickets? Who but the person who knew the Baroness would be unable to attend because she would be dead? Who, in fact, but her extremely efficient secretary?
Oh, no, not Mademoiselle!
Yes, you, Mademoiselle Roland. Winter! Stop her drinking that coffee! Mademoiselle Roland!
Oh, Mademoiselle Roland!
She's collapsed.
Oh, Mademoiselle, what's happened?
You're too late, I fear, Miss Frail. I saw her earlier in that mirror there drop a poison capsule in my coffee.
Oh.
And from the almost instantaneous effect, it must have been prussic acid.
Oh, Mr. Winter, it's Scotland Yard.
Oh, the police.
Oh, why? It's Inspector Hood. Hello, Inspector. You remember me when I was with Dr. Morell? Hello? This is Dr. Morell's house? Oh, hello, Inspector Hood. Yes, I see. Thank you. Goodbye. That was Inspector Hood, Dr. Morell. They're holding the post-mortem this afternoon at 5 o'clock.
Thank you, Miss Frail.
Quite like old times, answering your phone and chatting to Inspector Hood at Scotland Yard.
It's very kind of you to come back here with me.
I wanted to see that you had a good cup of coffee. Oh, I suppose I ought to be returning to the hotel. That was awfully interesting, what you were saying about why a person commits murder.
I'm glad it appeals to you.
All borne out, too, by what happened. Mademoiselle Roland did destroy herself. I suppose Baroness Beauville had threatened to cut her out of her will or something.
A possible motive, Miss Frail. That will be cleared up by Scotland Yard.
And to think that she might have murdered you.
Her last desperate throw. It convinced me, of course, of what I had, up till then, only suspected.
But you said it was the letter from the ticket agency. The fact that she'd cancelled the tickets was proof.
On the contrary, the tickets were there. Mademoiselle Roland hadn't cancelled them. I merely bluffed her into thinking that she had.
Oh, Dr. Morell, that makes it even more marvelous. Oh, I simply can't go back to that musty old dump.
Well, as it happens, Miss Frail, I rather fancy Miss Shawcroft may be leaving.
Oh, Dr. Morell, it would be wonderful to work for you again.
That was the first adventure of a new series featuring Ernest Dudley's famous character, Dr. Morell, and, of course, his secretary, Miss Frail. The artists taking part were Dr. Morell, Cecil Parker, Miss Frail, Sheila Sim, hotel waiter, Sidney Taffler, Mademoiselle Roland, Tonya Byrne, Anthony Winter, Hugh Manning, hotel receptionist, Molly Rankin, Miss Shawcroft, Kathleen Helm. A Case for Dr. Morell was produced for the BBC by Leslie Bridgemont.
The Russia House.
All packed up, Nicky.
Almost.
Get a move on. The reception's turning into quite a party.
Yeah, I know. It's all joy and glasnost up there, isn't it?
Oh, what's the matter? Sales down or something?
Worse than I thought. I told the governor to save his powder until the Moscow Book Fair. Go in with the book fair, I said, and we're clean up. Go in with the audio fair and we're dead.
And you were right, eh?
Of course. The Ruskies love a book, but audio scares them rigid. They aren't geared for it.
No, you're probably right. Here, sorted yourself out a bit of crumpet, have you?
In Moscow? Don't be stupid.
So who's your Katerina Orlova?
Who?
That's what it says on her lapel badge.
Who are you talking about?
Just there, by your sound booth.
Oh, not her again.
You always had taste, Nicky, I'll give you that.
She was hanging around here yesterday. I wonder what she's after.
Wouldn't be Nicky Lander, would it?
Wouldn't mind if it was.
Never change, do you, you dirty little beggar?
Oh, piss off, Bernie. There, that's the lot. Now.
Excuse me, sir?
Can I help you, miss?
Yes, please. Are you the gentleman from Abercrombie and Blair?
Not here, dear.
Mr. Barley Blair?
No, dear. Lander. Nicky Lander.
But this is Mr. Barley Blair's stand.
No, it's my stand. Abercrombie and Blair's the one next door.
But that stand is empty.
That's right.
It was empty also yesterday.
It's been empty all week.
But where is the man they call Barley?
I do not know, madam.
I must speak with him. It is most urgent.
Look, I can't help you. His company booked the stand, but they didn't turn up. Sorry.
Please, sir, you must be very kind and help me.
Help you? How?
A Soviet friend of mine has written a creative and important work of literature, a great novel with an important message for all mankind.
Oh, yeah.
It concerns actions before words. It rejects the gradualism of perestroika.
Nice.
In spite of glasnost and the supposed liberalism of the new guidelines, my friend's novel cannot yet be published in the Soviet Union.
I see.
Mr. Barley has undertaken to publish it with discretion.
Lady, if your friend's novel is published by Abercrombie and Blair, believe me, you can be assured of total secrecy.
I think I must trust you, Mr. Lando.
Nicky, dear.
Please, if you love peace, you must take my friend's manuscript back to England and give it to Mr. Barley Blair. Only to Mr. Barley Blair. It is a gift of trust.
Where is it then, this manuscript? In your carrier bag?
Yes.
Give it to me then. The whole bag.
Here.
Easy now, that's it. That's the way. Now you've brought me an official farewell gift on the last evening of the fair. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I shall treasure it as a souvenir of your lovely city. Now give me a nice, friendly Russian kiss. A formal sort.
It is very dangerous for you. You must believe in what you're doing.
What do I call you? Yekaterina, Katya, or what?
Katya.
Going to the official reception, are we, Katya?
No.
How about a spot of dinner with me, then?
Thank you, no, it is not convenient.
Pity.
My friend has made a great gesture. You will please make sure that Mr. Barley is aware of this?
I'll tell him. Don't worry.
Information desk at the arrival Mr. Bright Phillips to the information desk, please.
563. Come on, Barley, you can't be pissed this early in the day. Sod it. Abercrombie and Blair.
This is Abercrombie and Blair.
I'm afraid the office is closed at the moment, but if you...
So now... Why do I always get lumbered? Archie Parr, he'll know. Please be an Archie, old pal, please.
Archie Parr?
Archie, my old darling, how are you? It's me, Nicky Lander.
Oh, hello, Nicky. Long time no see. What have you been up to?
Just got back from the Moscow Audio Fair.
Oh, yeah. How was it?
Terrible. Listen, what happened to Barley? Why didn't he show?
Oh, he cancelled. God knows why. Probably because Barley's gone and skedaddled.
What do you mean, skedaddled?
Oh, what do you think I mean? He's done a bunk. Hasn't been seen in the shop for weeks.
So how do I get hold of him?
Well, you don't. Just sit tight and wait for him to turn up.
And how long's that likely to be?
Days. Weeks, maybe. You know Barley.
Oh.
Can I help you, sir?
Yes, please. I wish to see someone in authority.
Who exactly, in authority do you wish to see, sir?
You tell me.
Only it is Saturday, you see, and there aren't many with much authority in on a Saturday.
Then take me to the senior person here, pronto.
If you could perhaps tell me the nature of your business, sir.
My business is very secret and very urgent.
In that case, I suggest you ring on Monday morning and make an appointment to see someone.
Monday?
Ask for general inquiries, sir. They should be able to help.
That's it.
Foreign and Colonial Office. Won't be anybody there, though, at the weekend.
It better be. How much do I owe you?
There's only £1.20 on the clock. I can make it more if you like.
Keep the change.
Cheers.
How many times do I have to tell you? These are very important papers, and I want to speak to someone in authority about them now, straight away.
I've already told you, sir, that's not possible. Not today.
There's got to be someone in charge, for God's sake. You can't seriously shut up shop for the whole weekend.
Already told you what to do, sir.
I know. Come back on a weekday. Any weekday, 9 till 5.
That's right, sir.
No wonder this country's in a mess. I'm not moving from here until I see someone now.
Afraid that's against regulations,
Everything
sir.
all right, Smithy?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, who are you?
I beg your pardon.
You anything to do with this place?
I think you should leave now,
You work
sir.
here by any chance?
Yes, I suppose I do.
Then perhaps you can get someone to see me.
Come along, sir. Come back on Monday.
Just let me go.
It's all right, Smithy.
Well, can you get someone to see me?
Well, not really. There's hardly anyone in at the weekend, you see.
That's what I told him.
I don't believe it.
What seems to be the problem?
This gentleman says he wants to hand over some documents.
And talk to someone with some sort of authority.
Well, would you like to talk to me?
You one of the high-ups, are you?
I'm the resident clerk, actually.
I'm not talking to a clerk. It's got to be someone high or nothing.
A clerk is fairly high.
Oh.
The terminology can be rather confusing, I grant you. So you see, it's either me or no one. Oh, unless, of course, you'd rather come in on Monday.
Well, all right then.
Good. There's an interview room just along the corridor. Perhaps we could talk there.
Yeah, all right.
You'll log him in, will you, sir?
Surely. Oh, and well done, Smithy. Chocolate digestives are rather splendid. Do you have another?
No, thank you.
I can't resist them myself. Well now, Mr. Lander. Now, let's see if we've got it all down correctly. You were born in Warsaw.
Yes, but I've been here since I was 2.
Indeed. So you hold a British passport, which you don't have with you.
I need a passport for Whitehall?
No, of course not. Now, you've just returned from Moscow.
Correct.
Where you attended the British Book Fair.
Audio fair, we were flogging cassettes.
Oh, yes.
Talking books.
Quite. And this woman, this Yekaterina Orlova... October?
No. October's what it said on her lapel badge under her name.
Ah.
It's one of the state publishing houses. Octyabr.
Yeah, that's it. Anyway, after a long waltz me round Willie, she passed you this package. The manuscript.
Which Mr. Barley Blair has undertaken to publish with discretion.
Mr. Bartholomew Scott Blair, being managing director of the publishing house of Abercrombie and Blair.
Correct.
Quite. A question that immediately springs to mind, Mr. Lander, is why you haven't delivered this package to Mr. Blair himself.
I told you, Barley Blair has disappeared. Vanished into thin air.
Yes, but why bring it to us?
Read it and you'll see why. Barley Blair is obviously, well, you know, one of your people. If you know what I mean.
No, Mr. Lander. I'm afraid I don't.
Just how long have you had these notebooks, Weller?
Oh, a couple of days. They're an absolute scream. Listen to this. Soviet paralysis is the most progressive in the world.
Well,
And this, our backwardness is our greatest military secret. It really is the most awful load of tosh.
I don't think so. Look at these algebraic formulae.
I know. I couldn't make head or tail of them.
I think you should hand them over to someone who can.
Hmm? Really?
Definitely. I'd get them over to the Russia House pretty damn quick.
Oh my...
Hello, Harry.
Is Ned busy?
Not seriously.
It's a bit quiet for the Russia House, isn't it?
Momentary respite. Never lasts long, though, does it?
No.
I think Ned wants to talk about this Lander business.
He does.
Go on in.
Well, thanks, Emma. Spare a moment, Ned.
Oh, Harry, come in.
Thank you. Oh, you'll be pleased to hear that I now have the necessary authorization to tap the telephone of one Nicholas Lander.
Sorry, I should have asked you 3 days ago.
You should indeed. I took the precaution of predating it.
Thanks. I've another legal loophole for you to stitch up.
Oh?
Official Secrets Act for Lander. He's coming in tomorrow morning.
To see you?
Me, Walter, and Clive, if he's free.
Clive?
He's not sure if he can make it, but whatever. He wants to hear the tapes of the whole interview, every last word.
Why? What's his interest?
The American connection.
Ah.
That manuscript could prove a political hot potato.
And Clive doesn't fancy going it alone.
Exactly. We'll be inundated with Americans if he has his way.
Knowing Clive, he just wants to share the cost.
Which means we've got to share the product, before we're even sure it's genuine.
What time's Lander due in tomorrow?
10:30.
I'll have him sign before he meets you, Walter. Put the wind up him a bit.
This has been very helpful, Nicky. You've given us a very precise description of the mysterious Katya.
You obviously have an eye for the ladies.
Don't we all?
You say here her English was rather good, like a schoolteacher.
That was my impression.
And you noticed that she was wearing a wedding ring.
And a betrothal ring. Russian style on the right hand.
Well done.
First thing I look for after the usual. Single Russian women are a pest.
And her age again? You sort of hesitated before.
If she's over 35, she doesn't know it. A lovely skin, a lovely woman in her prime, so help me.
Thank you, Nicky. Walter.
You've told us you looked through the notebooks.
I wouldn't have passed them on to you lot otherwise, would I?
Do you know any science, Nicky?
A bit. Kitchen science, really. What'd I pick up?
Do you know what telemetry means?
Never heard of it. Must have passed me by.
What about CEP?
What's that?
Circular error probable. My goodness, he wrote enough about it, didn't he, in those funny notebooks you brought us, and not only in Russian.
I only skipped through all that stuff.
But you obviously formed an opinion of what the writer was telling us.
So?
What opinion did you form?
They're no good at it, are they? The Ruskies. They're duff.
Duff at what?
All that rocket stuff. They make mistakes. Errors. They're no good.
What sort of errors?
All sorts. Magnetic errors, bias errors, whatever they are.
And you have absolutely no idea what that means.
Why should I? That stuff wasn't meant for me, was it? It was meant for Barley Blair. Why don't you ask him?
We intend to, Nicky. We intend to.
Come in.
Spare a moment, Clive.
Ah, Ned. Come in. What are you doing in this neck of the woods?
Oh, just passing. Thought I'd pop in and retrieve the Lander tapes.
He's rather good, isn't he? Tells us what he remembers, doesn't make things up to spin a better tale. Utterly believable.
Oh, I think he's genuine. It's the material that worries me.
Yes. I've asked the Americans for a view on that.
Did we have to, Clive?
I rather think we did, yes. Our sharing treaty stipulates that we give Langley first rights on all strategic material. Besides which, I'm not at all sure that we have the necessary expertise over here to properly assess that sort of material.
It could still be a plant, a monumental piece of disinformation. Pity we couldn't have waited until we'd nailed this Barley Blair character before we showed our hand.
And how long will that take, pray?
God knows. I've set Eddie Brock onto that, but he's not having much luck at the moment. Still, we live in hope.
Ned free?
Hello, Eddie. He's on the phone at the moment.
I'll wait.
How's it going?
Don't ask. I know everything about Mr. Barley Blair, but where he is. He plays chess in a cafe in Camden, but not recently. He plays jazz saxophone all over the place, but not recently. And, this could be significant, he seems to be in debt to half Hampstead.
I'm not surprised.
What you got there?
I'm checking his bank statements.
Bet his drink bills are pretty phenomenal. We just come from Weimer Brown in research. He was at Trinity with Blair, apparently.
Oh?
According to Weimer, Blair was, and I quote, pissed as a rat from daybreak.
Oh, dear. You can go in now, Eddie. He's off the phone.
Ta.
Good luck.
Hello, Brock. Have you found him yet?
No, sorry. We've traced his son, his daughter, his sister, 3 ex-wives. You wouldn't believe who we've talked to.
But no Blair.
Bloody man's disappeared into thin air.
The Americans have found a trace on him.
Where?
In our own records, would you believe?
Oh, no.
His name was passed to them for vetting, apparently, under some ancient bilateral accord. Central Records denied all knowledge of it until I put a bomb under them. Here.
What's this?
Mr. Barley Blair's first contact card, 30 years ago.
No wonder Records couldn't find it.
See what the recruiter scrawled across it?
No further action, ever.
It's no laughing matter, Brock. What is it, Emma?
These bank statements of Barley Blair's.
What about them?
He's been making a payment each month to a property company in Portugal.
Where in Portugal?
Lisbon. Do you want me to put a trace out?
Please.
Can I make it priority?
Priority, immediate response.
Come on, Look, close your eyes.
Yes.
Open your mouth.
Like that?
Wider. There's a lad. 1, 2. Now, on the command, chew.
Now?
Yes. Now, chew. Right, first time. Which only goes to prove, Graves, the old dear, that the song got it right. The great Juju man may have made us all of meat, but eating people is wrong.
Excuse me, I'm looking for some...
Bloody disgusting.
QED.
I say, do pardon me, but would I be correct in thinking that you're Mr. Bartholomew Scott Blair?
Who are you?
Name's Meridew from the embassy. Commercial second secretary.
Oh, yeah?
Only we've received a rather pressing telegram for you over our link. We think you should pop round and read it. Straight away.
Link? What the hell's a link?
A diplomatic link. Radio.
It means wireless.
You're telling me someone is dead or something.
Oh, nothing so gothic, dear sir. It's a commercial thing.
So what the hell are we telling ourselves?
Nothing. It's just a telegram that needs your pressing attention.
Who's doing the pressing?
I can't give you a précis in public. It's confidential. Your eyes only.
Loosen your girdle, Mr. Meridew. Have a drink with the great what?
Now look here, Blair. I've already spent half the day traipsing round after you.
Have you now?
There's an embassy car waiting for you outside. It won't wait forever.
Royal summons, Barley. Mustn't insult Her Majesty.
I do think you should avail yourself of the embassy's facilities while they're still on offer.
Oh, very well. Felipe?
Si, senor.
See the Major into a cab, Felipe.
Si, senor.
It's not necessary, old boy.
Pay the driver in advance out of that. You can keep the train.
Si, senor. Obrigado.
Lead on, Meridew. So long, Major.
Huh?
Thanks for the laughs.
Huh? Oh. Bye, Barley.
This the way you usually go to the embassy?
Ah, yes. Now, it's not exactly the embassy that we're going to, no.
Huh?
The duty dog took the telegram at his house. I'm afraid that come the weekend we have to batten down the hatches at the embassy, you see. It's the Irish.
Who did you say you were?
Meridew, commercial second secretary.
From the embassy?
Yes. I told you.
So you did.
This is it, Mr. Blair.
Nice place.
Quite.
Your duty dog doesn't do too badly for himself, does he?
We do our best. We do our best. Ah.
Hello there. They tracked you down at last, Mr. Blair. Come on in.
Well, I'll be off now. I hope it all works out.
Yes. Thank you, Meridew. Do come in, Mr. Blair.
You have the advantage of me.
Oh, yes. I'm Ned. How do you do? Do please come in.
All right.
How drunk are you?
Not. Who's hijacking me exactly?
No one. No one's hijacking you. But I am about to move the goalposts. I'm afraid there is no telegram No crisis in your affairs, beyond the usual.
So why am I here?
We need your help, Mr. Blair.
Who's we?
I'm from British Intelligence. So are the people waiting in the library.
Don't know anything. Don't want to know anything.
Maybe we want you to find something out.
Find it out for yourselves.
We can't. Not without you. That's why we're here.
First you say you're commercial, now you're spies.
There's a phone there. Why don't you have a word with the ambassador?
Him? The man's a fool. I was up at Cambridge with him.
Here's his private number. He'll verify.
Okay.
Ask him to play golf on Thursday. He'll tell you not until after 5 o'clock.
I don't bloody play golf.
Hello?
Tubby? Barley Blair here.
Yes, I know.
How about a spot of golf on Thursday?
Not until after 5 o'clock.
5 won't do at all. We'd be playing in the dark. Silly bugger's rung off.
It isn't a joke, I'm afraid. It's actually very serious.
The line between actually very serious and actually very funny is actually very thin.
Let's cross it, shall we?
If we must.
I think we should. Gentlemen, let me introduce you to Mr. Barley Blair.
Welcome, Mr. Blair. You've led us a lively dance, I must say.
Tough.
That's Clive.
Is it?
Walter.
Hello.
And that's Bob.
Hi there. You don't run to surnames by any chance, do you?
I'm afraid not.
Only one Mr. Rigby called on my daughter last week with some bills about a tax assessment. Was he one of your clients?
I wouldn't be at all surprised.
Do sit down, Mr. Blair.
You'd better call me Barley, since we're all on first-name terms.
Good. Barley it is.
I'm the odd man out in this little family, Barley. I work for the CIA, which, as you probably know, is based at Langley in the state of Virginia.
Great! So who are we planning to assassinate today?
I'm afraid we're as bad as Bob's lot, Barley. We do the same sort of things. Sorry.
We also have an Official Secrets Act, which they don't, and which you'll be expected to sign.
Really?
Why didn't you go to the Moscow Audio Fair, Barley? You rented a stand, booked a flight, your hotel and all, and then you didn't show.
Instead, you came to Lisbon with a woman. Why?
What's it got to do with you, whether I came here with a woman or a Muscovy duck?
Please answer the question, Mr. Blair. Why didn't you go to Moscow?
The aunts cancelled the match.
Could you just expand on that a little, Barley?
Presumably you haven't come this far without knowing that I'm in the business of publishing books.
Indeed.
I have a board. I have trustees. I have family shareholders. I have aunts.
I still don't get it.
They like the old safe lines, how-tos, romances, tie-ins, birds of the British Empire, that sort of thing.
So?
So I thought I'd take us into audio cassettes. The aunts thought I wouldn't. End of story.
So you took off?
Yes.
Is that what you normally do when somebody thwarts you?
Frequently.
Perhaps you should show him the letter, Walter.
What letter's this?
A personal for Mr. Bartholomew Scott Blair. Urgent.
Let me see that.
Recognise the handwriting?
No. Should I?
Read it carefully.
My beloved Barley...
Take all the time in the world.
Are you sure you don't recognise the handwriting?
Positive.
It's signed K, for Katya.
You've read it?
I'm afraid so.
It was meant to be personal. To me.
We couldn't find you. Sorry.
Anyway, I don't know a Katya.
Short for Yekaterina.
Don't know a Yekaterina.
The patronymic is Borisovna.
Still don't know her.
Want to read the letter aloud, Barley?
Not particularly.
Could help freshen up your memory.
Want to try, Barley?
Why not? My beloved Barley, do you remember a promise you made me one night in Peradelkino? As we lay on the veranda of our friend's Dasha, you swore to me that you would always prefer humanity to nations, and when the day should come, you also would act like a decent human being.
That true?
That's so true. I never met the hag.
Please go on, Mr. Blair.
So now I'm asking you to redeem your promise, though not in a way we could have imagined that night when we agreed to become lovers. This is total balls.
Oh?
I ask you to show this book to English people who think as we do. Tell them it is the first stone of a great avalanche and they must throw the next stone themselves. Publish it for me. Show your scientists and artists and your intelligentsia that now, with Glasnost, we can move together and castrate the monster we have created before it destroys us all. Act like a decent human being, Barley. Your loving Kay. Who the hell is this woman? She's out of her tree.
We were hoping you would tell us.
I need a drink.
In the corner there, help yourself.
Hell's the woman up to? I don't remember any cat here at Peridelkino.
Maybe you'd drunk too much.
Bollocks. Anyway, where's the book?
The book is quite safe.
Where is it, please? Belongs to me?
We rather thought he belonged to Katya.
Where is that book? I'm his publisher. You saw what he wrote.
His publisher, Mr. Blair? You mean Katya's a man?
You've no damned right.
Steady on.
No damned right at all. That's my manuscript, sent to me by my author for my consideration in my good time. You've no right to steal it. You've no damned right even to read it.
Haven't we just?
No, you bloody well haven't. So give me the book and get back to your squalid little island and take your Boston Brahmin with you.
Our squalid little island, Mr. Blair.
Now, gentlemen. We'll never get anywhere like this.
You must understand, Barley, that this isn't simply a question of publishing ethics.
In fact, the book, as you call it, is not so much a book as a series of manuscripts, a set of notebooks.
They're still mine.
They contain military secrets about the Soviet Union that, if they're true, would be absolutely vital to the defense of the West.
To which hemisphere you also belong, I take it, thankfully.
I put it to you, Barley, if you were sitting in our place, what would you do with the manuscript? Ignore it? Burn it? Pretend it doesn't exist?
Or would you try to find out how it came to be addressed to a derelict British publisher? And more importantly, why?
Thank you. Sorry about the delay, sir. Couldn't be helped.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, Harry.
Sorry I'm late, Brock.
What happened?
Lorry jackknifed right outside the airport. We've been held up for over an hour. Absolute pandemonium.
I'll bet. Portuguese pride themselves on their patience.
How are things? You found Barley Blair yet?
We pulled him in, about an hour ago? Sounds an ordinary sort of cuss.
He been told about the Russian notebooks?
Yeah.
How'd you react?
Blew his top. Said they were addressed to him and we'd no damned right to them.
Oh, dear. God knows what he'll say when I walk in and shove the Official Secrets Act under his nose.
Up to you, but I'd leave it for a while. He's only just beginning to calm down and talk, you know?
You listening in?
Recording every word.
Maybe I should listen a while. Choose my moment.
Come on, then. The ears are in the cellar.
Who's in there with him?
Clive, Ned, Walter, and the guy from the CIA.
Bob.
The Boston Brahmin. That's what Blair called him.
Oh, dear.
But you must have some idea, Barley. Those notebooks were addressed to you quite specifically by someone who was expecting you to be at the Moscow Audio Fair.
Wish I'd gone now. Saved all this hassle.
This Katya person was quite insistent that they should be handed to you personally.
Was she?
When were you last in Moscow, Barley?
Oh, that would be September, for the book fair.
Tell us about it.
Not much to tell. The usual, making contacts, drumming up business, if you're lucky. Nothing out of the ordinary.
All work, no play.
Not until the fair was over.
Oh.
A few of us drove out to Peridelkino. Plan was to look at Pasternak's grave.
Peridelkino?
The writer's village.
Turned out to be quite a day. For me, at any rate. Got taken over by a group of mad Russian writers. Hell of a booze up.
What did you all talk about?
Peace, progress, glasnost by the bottleful, instant disarmament without the option, you name it.
Are these subjects on which you frequently air your views?
Well, I'm in Russia, why not?
Were there any women there?
A few, but none called Katya.
But there was someone.
Sure.
Someone who got close to you?
Thin, bearded chap, long black hair, drunk, and mad eyes, mad, crazy eyes.
Hello, Mr. Palfrey.
Hello, Ted. Nice to see you.
You too.
He's come down for a listen.
Do you mind?
Of course not. Take a pew. I'll put it on the monitor.
Oh, thanks.
This Barley Blair chap speaking. Bit cagey at first he was.
Woke
in
up
full
with a
spate
jolt
now,
around
though.
midnight, in a deck chair on the veranda. Then I remembered. Got bored with all the talk. Nothing personal, you understand. So I settled down with a bottle of scotch. Next thing I know, he was crouching beside me, clutching a bottle of vodka.
Who's this he's talking about?
Calls him Goethe.
Goethe?
Blair met him at a writer's booze up near Moscow somewhere.
Ah.
Got totally plastered by the sound of it.
Lecture on peace. Hadn't said a word all day. Now he's quoting me like a ruddy tape recorder. Not comfortable. Not comfortable at all. That was a fine performance you gave at lunch, he says. You spoke to my heart. And then he whispers, promise me you're not a British spy, and I will make you a promise in return. Not a spy, actually. Goethe, old boy, says I. Not now.
What on earth did he say at lunch?
Oh, laid a codswallop about peace, progress, all that sort of stuff.
Hampstead intellectual, isn't he?
Must have been damned impressive, all the same.
Impressed Goethe.
Shh.
I commit the sin of science every day, he said. I turn plowshares into swords, he says. Mislead our masters, I mislead yours. I perpetuate the lie. Then he suddenly gives me a big hug. Wet beard, wet hair, this burning intensity. Promise, he says. You must promise. Further, never seen anything like it. All right, I say. If ever you manage to be a hero, I'll manage to be a decent human being, okay? Promise, he said. I promise, I say. That's all there was to it.
Did you believe him, Barney?
Not the sort of chap you don't believe.
I'm sorry, Mr. Blair, but I'm afraid we're going to need your rather serious help.
Could we start by just looking at a few pictures, Barley?
Mugshot time.
Oh.
We've raked together practically every Soviet scientist we've ever heard of, and a few we haven't.
Oh, perhaps this would be a good time to show my face.
Well, it's as natural a break as you're likely to get.
What about him, Barley?
Nope.
Just one more to look at.
Sorry, old boy. No go.
None of these people we've shown you were at that party at Paradelkino.
None that I could recognize.
Not even a perhaps or a maybe?
Not a tickle, old boy.
Would you like to go through them again?
No point.
You sound pretty sure of yourself for a man who was drinking when he made the original sighting. Hell, I've been to parties where I couldn't remember my own name.
I haven't.
And none of these faces even resembles Goethe?
Not even remotely. That's not a face you'd forget.
Hi, Harry. Nice to see you again.
You too, Bob.
This is Barley Blair, Harry.
Ah, yes. The elusive Mr. Blair.
Harry who?
Just Harry will do.
Sorry to be so late, Clive. We ran into the most monumental traffic jam.
Have you brought the forms?
Not now, Walter.
Sorry.
What? Is that all?
Not quite. Bob has one or two snaps he wants to show you.
Barley, these are some of the boys and girls from the Moscow publishing scene. See anyone you know, holler.
Nope. Nope. Oh, yes. That's dear old Leonora, Top Gun with SK.
SK?
Soyuz Kniga. Order and distribute foreign books throughout the Soviet Union.
Know her other name?
Zinovyeva.
Confirmed.
Nope. Nope.
How about this one?
Pass.
Sure?
Positive. I'd have to be very drunk to forget her.
She works for the October Publishing Company, Moscow.
What does she do?
She commissions English language translations of Soviet works.
I look out for her next time.
That's it, Barney. Thanks.
Right, Harry. Perhaps this is the time to read Mr. Blair, The Riot Act.
Hmm?
Harry's our legal advisor. Keeps us all on the right side of the law, don't you, Harry?
In a manner of speaking. Here, you might like to read this.
What is it?
The Official Secrets Act. You'll need to sign it, I'm afraid.
What happens if I don't?
Nothing much. Because I'm now going to tell you, formally and in front of witnesses, that everything that passes between us at this meeting and hereafter is classified as secret.
It's an unfair business, Barley. You've had a monstrous secret thrust upon you.
I didn't ask for it.
Agreed, but unfortunately, you know it now, and you can't unknow it.
Which places you in a certain category, Mr. Blair. And that brings obligations you can't escape.
Yes, I suppose. Anyone got a pen?
Here, use mine. Is there anything you want to know before you sign?
Is there anything you need to tell me?
Shouldn't you at least read it?
What difference would it make?
I'll just witness it, if I may.
Here. Your pen.
Thank you.
Barley, have you ever formed any connection, however briefly, with peaceniks, dissidents, people of that sort, here or in Russia?
Is that a crime?
Just answer the question, Mr. Blair.
I meet all sorts of people. Jazz people, book people, artists, you name it. It's an impossible question.
I believe you used to play with a blues group in London.
Yeah, tenor sax.
Are you aware that 2 members of that group were involved with the campaign for nuclear disarmament and 1 or 2 of the less praiseworthy peace outfits?
Really? Did they have names?
Maxie Burns, Burt Wonderley.
Oh, my lord. Forget peace label. They were red-toothed commies, the pair of them. They'd have blown up Parliament if they had had a bomb.
They were also homosexual.
Absolutely. Gay as trivets.
All right, Bob?
I think so.
Well, is that it?
Not quite, Barley.
This is getting very boring.
I know, but bear with us just a little while longer, Barley. You see, you're our only link with whoever sent those notebooks.
You think it's this Goethe character?
Don't you?
Who else could it be?
Fancy a breath of air, Barney?
Why not?
Stretch our legs a bit. Coming, Walter?
Love to.
I'll take the scotch with me, if you don't mind.
Don't you want a glass?
I don't need one.
Come on, Walter.
Oh, right. Won't be long.
Well, what do you make of all that?
It went rather better than I had dared hope, actually. Harry?
He worries me, for what it's worth.
Oh? Why?
His whole attitude. He lacks any sort of subservience. The man seems totally undaunted.
Perhaps that's in his favour. What's your view, Bob?
Well, he's all we've got, and the material is important. I think we have to go ahead with the operation.
That would be my opinion, certainly.
Assuming Mr. Barley Blair agrees.
Oh, yes. Always assuming Barley agrees.
It's not on, Ned. Sorry, but I'm not your man.
You're the only man, Barley.
Choose somebody else.
We didn't choose you. Goethe did.
If we knew a way of getting back to him without you, we'd jump at it, believe me. You're the one he's taken a fix on.
Probably been waiting years for someone like you to turn up.
If he did choose me, it was for the very reason I wasn't a spy.
You won't be a spy. You're just a publisher collaborating with his author.
Oh, yes.
Might even put some money in your pocket.
Oh?
3 weeks preparation back in London while you're waiting for your visa, a jolly week in Moscow, and you'll be off the hook forever.
Damn the money. It's one shot for your country. A lot of people would give their right arm for that.
It's one shot for your author, too. If he really is going to risk handing over state secrets, the least you can do is to hand him on to the competent people. Why did you apply to join us all those years ago? Some sense of duty, perhaps?
I wanted to stay out of my father's firm. My tutor said teach at prep school. My cousin said join the spies. You turned me down.
Yes. Well, I'm afraid we can't oblige you a second time.
Wonderful view of the harbour.
Yeah.
All right if we sit down for a while.
Why not?
Love the lights in the harbour.
Yes.
Are we going to sit down, Barney?
Oh, yes. Fascinating, aren't they? Could sit here all night.
You know that if you walk out on Goethe, you'll be leaving him to the Americans. Bob won't let go of him now.
Why should he?
How will you live with yourself then?
I don't particularly want to live with myself. Can't think of anyone worse to live with.
In the end, it all comes down to this, Barley. You live in a free country. Now, are you prepared to defend that freedom?
Any decent church would have burnt you bastards at the stake years ago. I'm the wrong man, Ned. You'd be a fool to use me.
We're all the wrong men. We're dealing with wrong things.
You awake?
Where the hell have you been?
The embassy.
Hurry up and come to bed. What's she looking for?
Clean shirts.
Why? What's happening?
Got to go to London.
What for?
They're baying for my blood. I've got to go back and face the music, or they'll take away my passport.
But I thought you weren't going back. You'd served your English stretch, you say?
There's nothing I can do about it. They're throwing the book at me. There's a car coming for me in a few minutes.
And I go back to my husband, is that it? Just like that?
Stay on here if you like. I'll be back in a few weeks.
God, don't expect me to be here waiting.
Do whatever you want. I'm sorry, truly.
Damn you, Barley Blair! Damn you, damn you, damn you.
Hello, Emma.
Come in. Ned's expecting you.
Thank you. No one with him?
No, he's playing through the Lisbon tapes. You can go on through.
Thank you.
It's just the way.
Come in, Harry.
Oh, I can come back.
No.
In the countryside and end up arguing with a bunch of inebriated poets about freedom versus responsibility. You take a leak in some filthy public loo, and someone leans over from the next stall and asks you whether there's life after death. And because you're a Westerner, they think you know. So you tell them, and they remember. Nothing ever goes away.
Incredible. Things just seem to happen to Mr. Blair. In a funny sort of way, he's accident-prone.
Not the best recommendation for a spy.
I agree, and that's why Goethe chose him.
Yes. Well, you've only got 3 weeks to knock him into shape, and then only after office hours.
Don't tell me.
Oh, about that safe house.
Yeah?
Would Knightsbridge do?
Oh, I should think so. It's never been one of Barley's usual stomping grounds, as far as we know.
Nice little Edwardian cottage in a cul-de-sac, about 5 minutes' walk from Harrods.
Sounds ideal.
It is somewhat expensive.
Oh, who cares? The Americans are paying. Charge it to the Bluebird account.
Bluebird?
That's what the cousins want to call it. Operation Bluebird.
Oh, in that case, there's no reason why we shouldn't move in right away.
I'll put Miss Cody in as housekeeper.
I'll need to swear her onto the indoctrination list.
Right. Oh, and we'll need a Home Office warrant to tap the telephone.
Not a problem.
We'll tell him, of course.
Of course. There's a public phone box almost opposite the house. He might prefer to use that for private calls.
We'd better tap that, too. You play chess, don't you, Harry? How well?
Well, I don't know how good or bad Barley is, if that's what you're suggesting.
Might help keep him on an even keel. Walter's going to be putting him through the ringer over the next 3 weeks.
Well, we could try a game or two, I suppose.
Now you can be taller than she is. Adler, Adler, Adler makes you taller in its Adler elevated shoes. She'll look up to you when you are taller. You can say goodbye to all your blues. Now you can be taller than she is. Here's all you have to do. Just get yourself a lift in Adler, Adler, Adler elevator shoes. It's not always your height that counts, men. It's the way other men look at you. Don't let them look down on you. Step into Adler elevator shoes and step up in the world. You'll be almost 2 inches taller instantly. You'll stand straighter, look better, and command the respect you're entitled to. You're taller comfortably and confidentially, for the heels are no higher. Smart men are going up in the world. So don't just wish you were taller. Do something about it. And get yourself a lift in Adler, Adler elevator shoes today.
Thanks very much for joining us this evening. We hope that you enjoyed all the programming. We broadcast every Sunday from 8 to 11 p.m. Central Time, and we hope that you'll always be a visitor. We broadcast the very best in old-time radio, episodes and stories from the golden age of radio. Drama, romance, horror, comedy, music, programming from the golden age of radio, and sometimes something a little more modern. Again, thank you for joining us. Until next time, sleep tight. This is a production of Lobato Studios, Sao Paulo, Brazil.